one of the silly things as a streamer is like when you first go and start up the stream, for about the first 30 seconds or so, you can't actually access your own stream because it kind of
Mm-hmm.
takes a second for everything to get going on Twitch's end. So like at the very beginning of a stream, sometimes I'm not entirely sure whether some of my stuff is like set up right and all that jazz.
Yeah, because
It feels kind of weird.
you're also hosting, so it takes a second longer to turn that off.
Yep. And then every once in a while, like I'll be hosting someone, and then like the auto switch over doesn't happen, and then everything gets a little weird. And
Indeed.
sometimes the names don't update either. Oh, there. Now my name is updated.
Fantastic.
Online. The other thing that's kind of odd about that is when you have extensions enabled, like my awesome cardboard live, sometimes those don't refresh in the first couple seconds of the stream. So I'm always like, oh no, did I do it right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it appears later. So just while we're filling time for the next couple of minutes while people are just sort of filtering into the chat, what are your impressions of Legacy right now? We're getting closer to, things like the GP and the big format Legacy Challenge. How
Yeah.
are you liking things?
I love Legacy right now. I think it's extremely diverse. I don't think there's a clear best deck. There's a handful of decks that are in the conversation for it, but it changes like week to week, and I think that's like the exact place where a healthy, I use that dangerous term now, but I think it's appropriate. A healthy metagame kind of lies.
100% agreed. I'm so in love with Legacy. I'm playing a lot of games for pleasure, just like off stream, with a lot of different decks too.
Mm-hmm.
So like those handful of decks that feel really viable in my mind, it's like blue red Delver, blue white Delver, Miracles, Stoneblade, red Prison kind of, and like Ant and Sneak and Show. Kind of feel like those are sort of the top dogs of the format right now, with some other things like depths being like totally viable as well.
Yeah. I think it's also kind of weird to talk about because a lot of the non-blue decks are like definitely in the conversation for like that best deck kind of set of categories. So like you said, Greenback Depths, Mono Red Stompy, Death and Taxes, Steel Stompy, Eldrazi, all of those things are very powerful.
I have
And
my eye on Steel Stompy. I haven't gotten around to like testing the deck yet, but my experience chalicing people in the last few weeks has been very good, and I don't
so
know that Red Prison is necessarily the best chalice deck right now.
I was watching, it's funny you mentioned that too about Chalicing being very good right now because I was watching the quarterfinals or the semifinals of Grand Prix Las Vegas 2 years ago. Or was it 2 years ago or a year ago, something like along those lines, which was won by Andrew Calderon on Death and Taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And the commentary team was very flabbergasted that Chalice of the Void was not in the Death and Taxes 75 at all. And this was back when Chalice was not played in Death and Taxes, period. It may have floated into list sideboards like once or twice, but it was not remotely played. Fast forward to now, and Death and Taxes is definitely a deck that I respect Chalice of the Void out of. Uh, so it's just kind of interesting to see where Legacy has traveled in the past like 2 years or so.
Yeah, that one's 100% my fault. Like Chalice as a
Yes.
staple in the sideboard, like that's me. I'm sorry, Storm players. Blame me for not always having like the free turn one anymore. Like get
Indeed.
your Lotus Petals and LEDs. It's
Well, Phil, I'm gonna take a quick 2 minute break, or I'm like a 30-second break, just to go throw this away, and I'm done eating, as you can turn my webcam back on.
all right. Yeah, that sounds good.
All
And
right, I'll
then
be right
once we
back.
get all that situated, we'll get started.
Yep.
So, folks, for those, yeah, Yeah, Bentley. Anytime I have an anime convention, I shave because I don't have any cosplays currently that involve me having a beard, which I really need to fix so I don't need to like shave every time I go to an anime convention. But you know, here we are for the time being. And I had totally missed the fact that you were down south, Bentley. I hope things are going well for you. But anyway, more generally, we're just getting kind of set up here, folks. Min is just finishing up eating, and he's just running to take care of a couple of things. Then we'll turn his webcam on and get sort of our deck tech and leagues going. Okay, so this is just a temporary thing for you. I'm glad to hear that. So things in the life of Phil are okay right now. I was at Triad Anime Con Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was fun. Sort of a medium-sized con. But they had like 4 concurrent panel rooms, plus a dealer room, plus like a very, very respectable video game room. And a couple of side rooms with things like karaoke that weren't quite my jam. But I respect the fact that they have it, and it's very good for some people. Went to a whole bunch of very interesting panels over the weekend. Got all sorts of recommendations for things that I should be watching and things of that nature. So all in all, good stuff. Looking forward to the next anime season starting up in really just another week or two here. Like I think we've only got one more episode of like the time I was reincarnated like a slime left. Although a couple others like Love is War have a few episodes to go. Yeah, I would kill for a good barcade in Roanoke. I haven't gotten a chance to check out the Starcade yet. That's relatively new. I don't think it's a bar, but I think in the place where they have like the pinball museum, they went and added in a bunch of video games. Now, I'm not sure whether or not it's going to like be good or whether or not it's like basically going to be the video game exhibit they had before, just remarketed. Um, that remains to be seen, but I'm hopeful that it'll be nice.
I am back, sir, and I am ready.
All right, do you want to flip your webcam on?
Yep.
All right. Wonderful.
Okay.
All right, let me just make sure this looks good on their end. It does. All right, so let's do this. Good evening,
Wonderful.
everyone. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy death and taxes, and I have another content creator here with me tonight. Tonight, I am welcoming Min Hoq, who is going to show us how to play some Blue-White Delver. Min, why don't you introduce yourself in a little bit more detail and tell the people sort of what you're doing and who you are.
Hi, everybody. I am Min Hoq, or Min Hawk is my full name. I'm at Mini Hodge on Twitter and Minifer on Twitch. And let's see, I do a lot of things. I am a Tundra aficionado, I think is the best way to describe me. I've played Tundra almost exclusively in Legacy since 2013, 2012. Known mostly for working on the Miracles shell. And I also run a blog with my good friend Max Gilmore, and it's called minmaxblog.com. And in that blog, I've been detailing my exploits of like kind of exploring different archetypes. And this is one of those archetypes, Blue-White Delver.
So, I really want to hype this blog up because like the content that is there is great. Like this is relatively new. There might only be like a dozen pieces of content on there or something like that. But like,
yeah.
Max wrote an article that I was in the middle of writing, and it was like of the same level of quality that I was writing, and I just stopped writing mine because he did it and he said everything that I wanted to say very, very eloquently. And so like there's some videos up there. There's a great discussion of this deck. So if you find you're enjoying this deck tonight, like go and check that out.
Yep.
Max had a very thoughtful piece from last week as well, where he kind of talked about analysis paralysis and the difficulty of making a deck choice for a big event when you have the flexibility of changing decks. Yeah, I can throw a link to that in the chat, no problem.
Got it.
Excellent.
I may or may not have it saved on my clipboard at all moments. So
Oh, I get it. I do.
Yeah.
All right, so this is kind of one of the two hotness decks of the moment. Right now, we're kind of seeing a shift in the way the Delver decks are going and attacking the format. Sort of like in the past, sort of like few weeks or maybe even few months, Grixis Delver has probably been the Delver deck to beat. But now we're seeing this huge resurgence of Blue Red Delver and sort of the reappearance of Blue White Delver. And really, this is probably the first time that the deck has been taken seriously by the community at large. So why don't you tell us, what is the strength of a deck like this one? Why would someone want to play it?
Well, there's a handful of reasons, and kind of touching on why blue red and blue white specifically are kind of seeing a bit more of a resurgence is that Legacy as of late has mostly been about attacking mana bases in some way, shape, or form. So like you'll see a lot of Moon Stompy in place of where Eldrazi Stompy used to be as far as metagame share was concerned. And therefore, like the three-color Delver decks and the three-color like control decks like Grixis Control and even like Miracles that splash red, you're starting to see a little bit less of them because they're being attacked um, by their mana and also kind of being forced to interact at multiple early points in the game. So that's where kind of Blue Red Delver and Blue White Delver kind of come in a little bit. Blue Red Delver specifically, it operates very much like a Delver in a burn deck, but can still play a long game off of the back of how powerful, like the Delver Days Wasteland package supplemented by True Name Nemesis, and that's the really big piece here is. And then Blue White Delver is kind of adept at playing multiple roles throughout a game of Magic. This list specifically is Harlan Fear's 75 that he top 8 at SCG Syracuse with. And I think this deck is probably more appropriately described as a Stoneforge Mystic blue-white like mid-range deck with Delvers in it, which allows it to kind of play like the early clock game plan that Delver has, plus Disruption, while also being able to kind of play a longer game with Jace the Mind Sculptor and Batter Skulls and True Names and so on.
So I'm going to just take a common stance against this deck. But this deck's so bad. Look at the deck building. It has Jace in the Daze deck, and Daze in the Snapcaster deck. And, it's got Delvers, but, there's so many things that don't flip the Delvers.
And also Delver and Source of Plashers is a very popular one as well. And my co-author Max actually wrote a wonderful piece a couple years ago on the concept behind non-bows and their place in Magic. I definitely would recommend going to go check it out. I might link it here in a minute, but the gist of the article is a non-bow doesn't actually matter if it wins you the game. So a Delver flipping to a Source of Plowshares obviously is you're going to take a turn off of the Delver clock usually, but most of the time you're not trying to really be that aggressive with Delvers in a deck like this. You're trying to lay down persistent sticky threats, hence the roles of the True Names and the Batter Skulls and so on. And Source of Plowshares is just simply the best removal spell in all of Magic. I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a crazy limb here and say that.
I don't think it's all that contentious of a claim.
Correct. And therefore, Source of Plowshares kind of fills this hole also, where a lot of these like Merit Lage decks are kind of coming up that have resilient Marriage Lage plans that aren't playing the lands kind of package, where Source of Plowshares actually shines against them very heavily. And I think this deck is better than most other Delver decks against green-black depths as a deck, period. I think it's a really big and a really good place to be. And my overall article actually talks about the metagame positioning mattering more than cohesion or just how a deck looks on paper. If you're going to win games with it, and in Legacy is at a point I think where this deck will win plenty of games, then there's no reason not to play a strategy like this.
So I just want to highlight something that is very unusual for a Delver deck. This has 6 basic lands.
Yeah, that's the Harlan special.
Big game in the world where 2 weeks ago Red Prison was the best deck in the format.
Yeah.
That's probably not true anymore. I mean, I'd say it's definitely not true anymore. But this is such a great amount of resilience against something that otherwise might just get you on turn one. Against a normal Delver deck, a Blood Moon on turn one means, oh, I'm down to Young Pyromancers and Lightning Bolts as cards in my deck that matter. Whereas this deck is, it might take me 5 turns, but I'll probably find a basic, and then I get to play Magic again.
Indeed. In fact, I would kind of say that the mana base here and the mana base in Blue Red Delver also is very reflective of how Legacy is right now, where you just have a stack of basics and you're kind of fighting over incremental advantages the entire time. And so you just need your lands to cast your spells at all times. The second basic planes is a little weird, and I'm still not fully comfortable with that specific inclusion. But that kind of leans into why this deck is more of a mid-range Stoneblade Shell that randomly has Delvers in it, rather than a Delver deck specifically.
I mean, I guess the second basic plane is there to theoretically give you the option to cast Council's Judgment under a Blood Moon, but,
yes,
magical Christmas land.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think most of the stuff that's in the sideboard is kind of like unsurprising. Celestial Purge is probably a great sideboard card right now. It hits the red stuff of Red Prison while also getting some of the big black threats, whether that's a Merit Lodge token or a Liliana Planeswalker. And then the Power of Mana Denial is awesome in Legacy right now, hence we see the back to basics here.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about the deck before we just kind of hop into leagues here?
I don't think so. It's more known now than it was a few weeks ago, especially since Harlan did top 8 in a Legacy Open with it. It seems, like I said, the numbers are a little wonky, but I honestly didn't put too much personal work into this specific 75 either. The deck that I kind of entertained the most was Thomas Smiley's 75 from the top 16 of that event, I believe, or also the Niv Magas version that came in second a couple of challenges ago. So some of the numbers here, I'm not fully I didn't hone and tune the majority of this myself either by any means, but Harlan is an excellent Magic player and I trust him very much.
Yeah. So, all right, one more side note before we get started. I think right now there's 3 emerging decks, and I don't think there's locked in 75s for them yet. And those 3 decks are Blue-White Delver, Blue-Red Delver, and then the weird Phoenix Hybrid Storm deck. I think everyone is kind of looking at those decks going how exactly am I supposed to tweak this? What am I supposed to do with this? This looks like it's doing something cool, but... And I think we're still a couple weeks away from some of these deck lists sort of solidifying. But with
Agreed.
The power of some of the things that we're seeing in Legacy right now that are new or relatively new, like our Phoenixes and Light Up the Stage, there's definite room for exploration there.
Agreed. Felch Master 9000 asks, have I tried a 3-island 2-plane split with playing another fetch? I have tried that mana base for a league, I think. The 4 basic islands, I think, are just very, very good. They cast almost everything you're trying to do in the deck. And there plays 20 mana bases. Sorry about that. My dog is freaking out about something. Belle, come here. You can relax. It's okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
No worries. What's the name of your doggo?
Her name is Belle. Belle, come here. She is a almost 8-year-old Bichon. Here you go. She's on the ground right now trying to beg for pets. All right. Here, let me put her on camera for a moment.
Aww.
Hi, Belle.
The people have been given what they want.
Indeed.
The puppers.
Indeed. All right, here you go, Belle. You can be free now. Okay.
And we win the die roll. That always feels good.
Excellent.
Well, we don't have lands, so we're going to ship this one back.
Yeah.
We're gonna start this league off strong.
Yeah, we're gonna ship this back one as well. We're gonna draw a planes as our only land for the 5 card hand, by the way.
And then get
and
blood mooned.
feel. Yeah,
All right, so I'm only half kidding because our opponent has finishes on Sneak and Show and Red Prison.
sure.
I mean,
This is as about as good of a 5 as you can possibly hope for.
it doesn't matter. Like we're fetching and jamming
Yeah.
Delver on turn 1.
Felch Master 9000. I would play 4 Wastelands. I have been playing 4 Wastelands. So I know we mulligan to 5 this game, but Delver kind of allows us a chance to punk our opponent out of the game if we comes down to that a lot of the time. Okay,
I
so
probably have to force this. I
you
don't
do.
really want to, but I
I
think
think
it
you
is
do.
necessary.
Agreed.
Pitch the true name.
Yeah. We need a kind of a Hail Mary to win this one, and that is this Delver.
What do you
I know
think?
I know what you're thinking.
The issue is I really want to like maybe not even cast this brainstorm this turn
Yeah.
and like try to wait a couple of turns to cast this.
So we need to hit a string of both lands and spells to kind of win this game, and I think the chances of our opponent doing something to race us, because if they go Rebel Master the following turn, we don't win that race no matter what.
Correct.
Basically, we need a brainstorm to hit another cantrip in order for us to win, and think I think it's fine to do this.
So like I don't really think we're gonna win this game unless some things go well for us.
And that's about as the best it possibly could be.
Yeah.
This
So
was actually very good. So we're
I think
gonna
I
reveal.
bury Flooded Strand, reveal Force, draw Force. Or would
Um,
you say no, no, I should reveal the Pierce
you should reveal the
because I'm not gonna have
Pierce.
the mana up.
Correct.
Alright, so the way you beat Red Prison is disrupt them for the first 2 turns of the game.
And then hope they draw a stack of Trinispheres for the rest of the game.
Oh man, our
Oh
opponent
wow.
has
Okay.
stumbled on the back of their mulligan as well. So they were all in on the turn 1 chalice there,
See.
which is
All right.
awesome for us.
So we could definitely easily we definitely still win this game. For sure. I don't.
So if I play this, I can have double island and
Yeah,
plains.
you play it. In case of a Blood Moon.
Yeah, and then I won't even like have to counter a Blood Moon.
So Green PM 33, who is Patrick Green, asks, "What do I think of the list that won the challenge?" I think the list that won the challenge was created by a fantastic Magic player, um, and piloted also by a fantastic Magic player. I don't really have a ton of thoughts behind it, but I think it's a pretty solid list. The list in question, by the way, is Gul Dukat's Stoneblade list that features Delvars in the sideboard. And has Pals jailers, one in the main, one in the sideboard.
I like
Uh,
that list a lot.
yeah.
Essentially, the strength of that list is that you get to play a good deck game 1, like you get to play game 1 Stoneblade, and
Yep.
then for the matchups where you need a clock, you have like Delvers that you can board in against combo, for example. And then you
Yep.
don't have to tap out for things like True Name and Stoneforge and things of that nature.
You can also board in the Delvers, and Daniel did this in the finals, I believe, against Jace Mirrors to make Jace moderately worse.
All right. Do I even cast this Ponder?
No, because
I
the
don't
game is
think I
over.
do.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it's just like my Force spotter.
Yep. This game is somehow over, and I don't and uh, force that.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
block.
like then
Yeah,
they're just dead.
yeah. So we won on Mulligan to 5, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, so this is a very positive matchup for Blue White Delver, by the way.
This is one of the reasons why you play this deck. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna say what I like, and then you can talk me through why I'm right or wrong.
Sure.
I like EE, Council's Judgment, Disenchant to give me answers to opposing threats. Similarly, Purge seems fine. Whether or not I want to play another True Name is going to depend on how many slots I have to like actually board things out, because True Name is very, very good against Red Prison, but at the same time, it is a blue-blue card.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on these cards that are coming in? Am I on?
I agree with everything you have coming in. And I also agree with your statement about True Name, and I don't know if I'm going to board it in. We can analyze what we're taking out first and then decide.
So Snare
yes,
is pretty bad. Like, it's fine against Chalice. It's a 1-mana answer to Chalice, but if they're chalicing, it's probably before I have Spell Snare up.
Correct. And they have no other 2s in their deck very often. I'm not the biggest fan of the Jaces in this matchup either. But usually they can't really beat an onboard Jace. It's tough to say because you're trying to figure out
When
what
they throw
role
down
you
a
play.
bridge, though, it's just
Yes.
like so good to have access to that.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think the worst card in our deck at this point might actually be the True Names. And I know that also sounds like heresy.
Interesting.
Well,
So
I want every other card in this deck. They can't really beat a Batterskull, and they can't really kill or remove a Delver very often. And you kind of rely heavily on the Delver draws in this matchup specifically. That's my reasoning, at least. And let me think about how if that may be flawed or not.
And would, like, assuming we sideboarded like that, would I just like trim 1 Ponder to round things out, since it's like
I think
4
so.
against Chalice?
It's possible. I think Daze is completely insane against this deck.
Yeah, I don't think you.
And I like keeping Jute as well because it's a form of removal, and I think you have to keep the removal. You have to keep as much removal as you possibly can because they have 8 Rappels in their deck.
It's also one of the ways that you can win through an ensnaring bridge. Like,
yes.
you shrink your Stoneforge with a counter, attack in with it having 0 power, and then you pump it, and you can deal 2 damage a turn through a bridge.
Correct. True Name is fine if you're worried about Confluence, but I think I'm fine with this configuration. I think every other card is better.
We also might like grab a True Name or 2 when we're on the play, and we have a slightly higher chance of like actually resolving a blue-blue card.
Agreed. We keep this hand. We have an answer.
Very good.
Yeah, we have answer to Chalice. We have removal. We have a clock.
The only awkward thing is if we're in a situation where we have to force on turn 1, we pitch our only threat.
Correct. Another kind of cute thing to note in how. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I think we actually have to hold the Delver. No, because anything they play the following turn will.
This is very awkward, because if we play the Delver out, we're fetching basic Island, and then we don't actually have access to the Disenchant mana.
Yeah. Well, this is assuming that they Blood Moon us the following turn.
Right.
How do you sideboard from the Red Prison side against this deck, out of curiosity?
So I usually end up going, and I think I cut a good number of the Blood Moon effects. It kind of like is play draw dependent.
Yeah.
So like a lot of time, so he's on the play. A lot of times when I'm on the play, like I'll cut the 8 Rabble effects because they're like so very bad against Batterskull, and I'll try to play a longer game with like Abrades and Bridges.
Sure.
But Magus is also something that I frequently trim in these matchups. So we're somewhat likely to get actual Mooned, but somewhat unlikely to get Magused.
So I think the safest play, come to think of this, is Delta Go, and just have the Force Fodder in case, and then the following turn we can fetch both and be insulated against anything that our opponent can follow up with. Is that asinine? I can't.
Okay, so what about Windswept Go instead? Because then if they moon or if they rabble, like we have the white.
Yeah, I'm down with that plan. Another kind of interesting thing to note with the explosives in our sideboard is that if you board it in against this deck, sometimes it will be able to be used for Sunburst 3, which is kind of interesting, I think. That's fine.
You get a lot of information from what people choose to Chrome box, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Pay attention to that, chat. Scab Clan Berserker
St-
is fine. Like, I can
That's
just fetch a basic and Swords to Plowshare it.
Yep. And that lines up with everything we want to do the following turn, so this is great. Do you board in Scab Clan if you see Delver turn game 1?
No.
I didn't think so. Should this deck be playing Jailray? It could be, Patrick. I'm not 100% certain. Okay, so now we just Delta play Delver Go, yeah. It might be awkward if we can't Judgment something the following turn, or if we need to, or if we need to force, but I'd rather just have the Delver in play at all times. And our opponent is down to 3 cards in hand.
Yeah.
If they have no relevant plays the following turn, there's a chance that we disenchant the Chrome Mox, but it's not likely. That's fine.
Yeah, this I don't care about, and in fact, it almost makes me want to Chrome Mox or like disenchant Chrome Mox if they don't have another land.
I think we do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
oh
definitely
yeah. All right, little Delver buddy, flip for me. Snapcaster Mage. No.
Fortunately not, but okay, so we can't necessarily. So I think we fetch the island and then disenchant. Is that right? No, I guess it doesn't matter. We play a Tundra. The Delta might come in handy the following turn in case our Delver doesn't flip. So we disenchant the Chrome Mox, playing the Tundra.
Yeah. I was thinking we could also Council's Judgment it to like use white now, but I think we're past the point where like my opponent is going to have a Blood Moon.
Yeah, agreed. You don't think the attacking the mana is actually good? I wouldn't normally do this because our opponent can drop a soul land the following turn and like do something threatening, but we have a Delver in play.
And they've missed a land drop.
Yes. It is very high variance, I agree.
But I've played a lot of Red Prison.
Brainstorm.
Yes.
Excellent. So now we just
I don't
play
think
the land and
people
attack. Yeah.
the mana enough. Like there's so many games where I go like, man, if that was pointed at my Chrome Mox.
Yep.
All right. So real question: do I just like play Ambush Viper?
It doesn't change the clock this turn, but it can if they play a creature. I don't think so. I think we can just hold it in case they play like a Rabble or something.
All right. Is it worth it to
brainstorm?
Hang on.
Hang on. No, I'm sorry. Let me think about this.
So like we have 6 Delver hits versus 4 Snapcaster plus.
Yeah, I'm down with playing the Ambush Viper actually. Yeah, that's a better usage of our mana too, I think. The Brainstorm we can just hold forever as force fodder. And we let the Turn Sphere stay in play.
Yeah. So important rules note about Trinisphere, just in case you're not familiar with how this works. Under Trinisphere, you do have to play 3 mana in order to like use a Force of Will.
Yeah. Legion War Boss. Does that matter?
I'm not sure that does matter.
Because the Goblin has to attack. We can. I think we let this resolve. The Goblin itself won't matter. And then we could Brainstorm at the end of the turn, and then untap, Judgment it away, and then continue attacking.
I think so. It'll drop the Force for the next spell, but I think that's fine.
I think so too.
Yeah. That's okay. I think like I don't want to throw away this Force if I don't have to. Like it's a little awkward with the Trinisphere around, but
yeah, it is. I mean, we could also just rip a land the following turn and maybe ignore it as well. We'll see. Okay. Well, we found a land we wanted for the Force the following turn.
So I think we put back one land, 1 Brainstorm.
Yeah, and we'll draw the Brainstorm.
Do we even want to draw the Brainstorm? We can just shuffle it away.
That's fine too. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I guess we're gonna hold a second one. Ooh. Well, that's actually
actually somewhat awkward currently.
It is. Unfortunately, they don't have a Blood Moon effect in play. This is what I was talking about, where if they had a Blood Moon in play, would be able to really like explode the game right now, but they do not. So we need to evaluate if this War Boss matters or not. So it'll attack for the following turn for 5 on its own. Okay. So we go to 11. They go to, well, I think the first thing that we do this turn is attack first.
Agreed. Like 100% willing to trade Snapcaster for War Boss.
Yeah, so let's do that first and then decide. Because if they choose to block for whatever reason, then we can reevaluate.
Neat.
Okay, deal. Then we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, then I think I just like play my land and pass, and we could just hard cast a Force of Will on whatever spell they do.
Yes.
Preferably, though, we can let whatever spell they do resolve and hit it with Council's Judgment. But, like, we can't let a Chandra or equivalent resolve.
Scab Clan. 3, 4...
That would represent 4 damage if we just, like, choose to Council's Judgment it away.
I think I'm okay with forcing this because of the 4 damage. What is the chance that our opponent has another relevant 3-drop in their hand right now?
Somewhat relevant. I'm more scared of them having a 4-drop that I care about.
Agreed. Like a Chandra would be devastating.
The issue is that if I don't hit, like, a 6th land, I can't, like, force and Council's Judgment that away.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm okay with letting this resolve and then brainstorming to look for that 6th land.
Well, yeah. So let's...
And an additional spell.
Let's go ahead and brainstorm.
So let's brainstorm. Yeah, sorry.
Not that it, like, particularly matters all that much. All right, so
we found what we needed.
There is the 6th land, so we can take that and then hold up, like, Force or Spell Pierce and Force of Will. So this is very good for us.
Indeed. Okay. The second basic plans actually matters here. The EE could come down to another War Boss coming down, I suppose. But no, that won't matter either because we can't EE for 0. We maybe wanted to shuffle away the EE, come to think of it. Patrick has a point.
I don't think we need a 7th land.
Yeah, either one is like not great.
Hey, and welcome.
Okay, so we're still chipping away with Delver. Rabblemaster. Okay. We can force this. I'm gonna... If they play another creature the following turn, then it can't kill us and we can strike back for lethal across 2 turns. If they cast a non-creature spell, then they die to the spell pierce in our hand. Except, if we force now, then we can't have the spell pierce. Yeah. This is tough. We can't.
I can't just blow up the token due to the Trinisphere.
Yeah.
I think I force it.
I think so too.
I don't think it feels good, but I think it's what has to happen. I think the Rabblemaster has the potential to just beat us if I don't answer it here.
Yeah, because we have to attack 3 more times.
Yeah. And I don't know that we're going to get the luxury
we need 3
just like drawing an answer to it.
Agreed. Okay.
That's quite good.
Yeah.
So do I do it now? Or do I wait?
We're dead to a lot of things, I think. And that's kind of the problem. I think we do it now.
Because I can hit a Stoneforge.
We can hit a Stoneforge, we can hit... another Delver, or a Snapcaster, or a multitude of things. Celestial Purge is exactly what we're looking for.
So I think I bury EE and Ponder, keep these two.
Yes. Yeah, we boarded up the true names. It may not have been wise to do so, but I think it was fine to do on the draw. Our opponent has drawn a lot of threats.
Bridge is
Ooh,
fine. They have
that's
4
fine.
cards in hand.
That's totally fine, yeah.
100% fine.
Yeah, cantrips are very broken. So we end of turn Brainstorm just to cycle one down deeper because we're not going to have our mana on our turn. Okay.
Neat. So I don't want this, and then
Yeah.
the other one I'll just redraw, so it doesn't matter which one it is.
Yep.
And I guess I will Ponder now.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, we can just shuffle away the EE.
Yeah, we'll shuffle this. That's fine. Wasteland
is almost good.
So we'll attack. Our opponent is at 1.
I don't even think I play this.
No, you don't. Three wastelands, which there are only 3 in our deck, allow us to do so. Wow. Because they needed to play both a land and a spell and another spell, I guess, next turn in order to not die. But
yeah, so
there you go.
They weren't really on too many outs.
Yeah.
They had to have something like a Braid that they could cast to kill the Delver.
Yep. So this is one matchup where the Delver part the plan of attack, while kind of volatile and dicey, definitely comes in handy because you can just do this, where they can have a handful of like lock pieces or things of that nature, and you can just win.
So
Has,
no, opponent wasn't unlucky because they didn't get to the 4th mana. We chose to take them off of that mana in the early game, and that's why we won this. Like, opponent's hand was like absolute gas, and after they played that Trinisphere, we probably locked them under their Trinisphere. Like, I find it relatively likely that some of the cards that were stuck in their hand were just going to be things like 4-drop spells, or maybe some 3-drop spell, or sorry, like some 0-drop spells that they just like did not have time to cast, given the fact that I had a clock.
And they drew a lot of threats that game. Which, I mean, the deck is literally mana, threats, and lock pieces. They're 2 lock pieces. That game didn't really do a ton, though.
So, like, if we look at the list I won the challenge with from a couple of weeks ago, like, if you look at the number of 3-drop threats in game 1, it is, like, 24 or really 20, because, like, Spirit Guide isn't really a threat. But, like, so you have 20 3-mana threats plus 4 other, like, 2-mana threats. And then in post-sideboard games, you know, you have some others, sometimes some things like Scab Clans and Hanowar Garrisons, depending on what your exact 75 looks like.
Negator 77, that is an excellent question. We're against Pathy, so our opponent is almost assuredly on a post strategy or an Eldrazi strategy of some sort. We're on the play. I think this game's a keep on the play.
Yeah, I think we definitely keep this. So, like, we get to lead on Island Go. We can spell snare something like a Chalice if that's something that happens. And then otherwise, like, we have turn 2 Brainstorm plus Shuffle available to us. Oh!
Oh, no. What did they exile?
Eldrazi Mimic.
Eldrazi Mimic, okay. So we're almost getting hit by either a Chalice or a Trinisphere next turn, but... hopefully we'll see.
I think we just hold up snare and just hope hope it's Chalice. Definitely. There was some like Gemstone Cavern Serum Powder deck in like the challenge, right?
Yes, there was. And it also played the 3-mana Eldrazi that you can play from exile.
Oh god, Eternal Scourge. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a spicy one.
Neat.
So like Ancient
Don't three
Tomb,
ball me. Don't three ball me. Don't three ball me.
they're probably gonna. Oh, they're gonna four ball you. What?
Are we just gonna see like Thought Nazi turn one?
Okay. So they're either gonna take the Jace or the
I
Brainstorm.
feel like they would probably take the brainstorm.
I agree.
So I think
So
I should
I
brainstorm and try to like find a Swords to Plowshares that I can put on top of my library.
agreed. This is another matchup where like the Stoneforge part of the deck is actually really good because it allows you to have like a proactive plan that can put Eldrazi on the back foot.
Yeah, our opponent is very all in on this. This, by
Yeah,
the way, like they've used a
yeah, they
card for
are.
Gemstone Cavern, they've used a Spirit Guide.
So I think our best card is the True Name Nemesis by a long mile.
Yep.
I like want to put the True Name and the Ponder on top or the True Name and the Jace on top.
So what am I doing next turn? Am I?
If they don't take the Delver, which I'm pretty positive we're leaving in our hand, we're playing Delver and then pondering. Or playing Delver and saying go. I think we want to price ourselves into playing Delver and then saying go. So
So I kind of want to put back one land, hide True Name on top,
yes, yeah. Sorry, that's what I was
see what
trying
they
to see what we could
do,
do.
and then
Yeah,
likely get rid of this land via Misty Rainforest.
yeah, that sounds great. I don't think the Jace is gonna matter either. I think they're gonna take the Jace.
I also think they're going to take the Jace because, again, if this leaves play, they probably lose the game.
Yeah.
No, like, this is the world Legacy is in right now. Legacy is, like, a dangerous, dangerous place. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but, like, there's powerful spells going around right now. Like,
I,
in most of the decks that, like, we're seeing in, like, Tier 1 or close to Tier 1 right now, there are swingy cards that, like, when resolved unchecked in a turn cycle or two, they take over the game. You know, Stoneforge Mystic, Chalice of the Void, Goblin Rabblemaster, you know, any number of the enablers for Dark Depths combos.
so our mutual friend Wilson Percival Hunter has this saying that he likes to use in his former podcast, and that is the term subgame. Legacy right now seems like it's a collection of subgames more so than it has been in the past, where like minute windows of time matter significantly more than any game plan across like a deck.
I think the Phoenix deck is a great example of that,
Yes.
where, like, oh, we're in the combo portion of the game right now. Oh, nope, we have shifted into the I am a mid range deck version. Like, oh, but now it took too long. I have resources again now in the combo deck again. I think there's a lot of that going on.
So here's a question. Do we play into Wasteland?
I think so.
Okay, I agree with you.
I think we, like, fetch out a Tundra and then go Delver Ponder.
I'm with you. I think we ponder first for what it's worth in case we find a plow, because we might want to do that instead. Sorry,
But,
fetch first and then ponder.
oh, sure, sure, sure.
Because we're going to want to set up the devil regardless, but if we find a plow, then we'll just do that instead. Which we found a plow and a force. So new
Wow.
plan. New plan. We're going to probably draw the force.
I agree.
Put
And then
the
flip to Ponder.
yes, flip to ponder, put the plow below, and then we'll ponder on our next turn, draw the plow, play the plow, and then blow him out, basically.
This is insane. And, like,
Yeah,
we
this is
also have
perfect.
a relatively bad card to pitch as well.
Indeed.
So our opponent going, like, super all in on producing this Thought Knot Seer is really going to backfire on them. And even if they go and do something crazy like, you know, another Thought Knot, like, we get to force that, then get rid of this one, draw a card, True Name's right around the corner.
So Luino had a good point, actually, and I may have missed it, but we could have plowed instead of. Well, so I didn't necessarily miss it. I just really wanted to um, play the Delver this turn no matter what. Um, And Luinel's point was you could maybe plow and then have that draw you the forest if you wanted to. But I don't necessarily know if we wanted to do that. I think we just wanted to use our mana as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that is a line that we did not consider.
Yeah.
But I think just like getting the clock into play is more important.
Oh, I agree with you.
But I had missed that.
Yeah. No, it's a great call out for sure. We can also just slam the True Name next turn instead, which is also like totally viable. Matter Reshaper, that's fine. And I think kind of want to actually just slam the True Name the following turn instead of using Plow to do all the things.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we just like let this go, play True Name,
Yeah.
flip Delver, and
Clock in the air and have
Yep.
True Name hold the ground down. Oh, we stacked it wrong. We should have revealed the to ponder. Oh well.
No, I don't think so because like previously our plan was like to play the
Oh
Source to
okay.
Plowshare, so like we leave
Yeah,
the
you're right.
Ponder buried in order to like
Not get thought not again.
Yeah. So I think we're in a very, very strong position now.
Agreed.
Not unlosable. You know, our opponent can go Cavern of Souls into something stupid. But outside of that, like if our opponent just goes like Reality Smasher right now and we get to force that,
Yep.
we are leagues ahead.
Which is almost certainly happening. Another Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, we just force this,
Yep.
and then the same play pattern comes up the following turn.
So how do we lose from here?
Smasher into Smasher.
Yeah, so I guess we're giving our opponent 4 life here. They're going to go to 15.
1, 2. The text on Eldrazi Temple means that it can tap for 2 for all it does, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, so mana all it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's another way to lose. I don't think we necessarily need to plow yet.
So what I'm wondering actually is if we like don't plow and we just attack with both and say like you're dead next turn, what can you do?
I agree with that
I
line.
want to ponder first to like solidify.
Yes. I think we just started the turn with pondering. We don't need the second Delver, right?
No.
So we can draw that, have that be our pitch card for Reality Smasher in case it matters.
So if our opponent plays Reality Smasher, do we care? Like if we attack
we
for
don't.
6,
They're actually dead.
they
They're
play
dead
Smasher, they die.
Yeah, they're dead on the spot.
So the only thing we would care about is something like All is Dust, which is very unlikely, or like a Walking Ballista.
Ooh, Ballista would not be great. Maybe then we want the Delver. Yeah, okay. I can get behind that. Playing the Delver, have it float to Brainstorm, because then we can beat a Ballista. Because they can Ballista for 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so we bury. All right, do we want to flip to Brainstorm or Plow? I guess it doesn't matter much.
I want to draw the Brainstorm. I don't really want to draw the Plow necessarily.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Walking Ballista, and I don't know why.
So the other thing that's nice here, that Lewin just pointed out, is that if they tap this Ancient Tomb, then True Name on its own is lethal.
Yeah.
Which maybe means we were supposed to just like shuffle that
It's possible. Yeah.
and just like try to find a
Okay.
day.
Days
I don't
are
know. Like we were in very good shape there.
yeah, a days or a pierce would have been it.
So I think I like True Name, Gideon, probably Back to Basics counts. We have a lot of potential cards here.
There are.
So I think I like
Also the
these
explosives,
7
yeah.
and probably this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what don't we like?
We're like pre-boarded, which is like the funny part.
Yeah, I think we're going to be well suited for this fight.
Yeah, agreed.
Like the big thing we have to decide is like how do we want to be fighting Chalice? Because like we have these pierces and snares that are relatively medium outside of Chalice.
I think I'm cool with cutting some number of the snares. Specifically, Pierce can still have applications post board just due to how they sideboard as well.
Some of the random
Oftentimes.
things like Ratchet Bombs and Karns.
Yeah.
I think we're still going to need to trim some number of these.
It's possible. I'm trying to think.
Like I also don't necessarily love Days, like versus the Cavern of Souls deck.
Well, we don't necessarily know if they have to make some considerations as far as like how their mana develops. I'm cool with cutting Days on the draw specifically in this spot though, but I'm not sure if I think I'm gonna want them back on the play. I'm not thrilled with Gideon Alexander in this matchup either, to be quite honest.
Okay, I love it as a Death and Taxes player because like it just like provides an endless stream of chump blockers and gives you time.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need that. You can stabilize behind the board pretty easily.
Yeah, I suppose you have True Names that can do similar things.
What else do we not want? I could see trimming another Pierce.
Like I could see trimming one of these, see trimming one of these, and then I'm not sure.
GT is not very exciting against them.
I still think you keep the second piece of equipment in case the first gets thought knotted, though.
Yeah, yeah, I think we have to.
Is it just
maybe
like
a
a Snapcaster?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I don't like that too much, but Snapcaster is very mana intensive, and the game is going to be over usually like based on a handful of Sledgehammer cards. So I'm cool with this. Yeah, this seems fine. Yeah, I'll keep this hand.
I'm not throwing it back.
Well, so we have force fodder for our Delver. Avugan Eldrazi Mimic.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Okay. Eldrazi Mimic again. Okay.
Oh, hello, 2-for-1 with Engineered Explosives.
Possibly. Or Scary Thought Knot next turn.
A real scary Thought Knot next turn.
Yeah.
Like, we'd force it, but...
Very scary looking.
Oh god, is there a third?
Endless 1 for 2. Okay.
Yep.
These are all fine. Scary, but fine. Their hand is very all in on the earlier aggression, so a Thought Knot Seer the following turn would be completely devastating for multiple situations.
I would love to draw a basic land that can get us white. Or sorry, a fetch land that could get us white. I also wouldn't hate like a Swords to Plowshares, a Stoneforge Mystic. Please let me go to my draw step, sir. Or ma'am.
Patrick's exclamation of hand is great. Oh no. If only we had Terminus. Okay, so we do a disenchant, which isn't actually that useful on this board. I think we have to unfortunately just play a Misty Rainforest or a fetch land and then pass.
Is it worth playing the Delver to at
No,
least like
it,
attempt a
no.
trade?
I think it has to be our force pitch card.
Okay.
Actually, hang on a second. Let's think that one out. So we probably will have to end up explosiving the Mystics on turn 4.
Yep.
So how do we survive until then?
Or I guess we can do it on 3. So like next turn we tap out for EE.
Yeah.
And then just hope we don't get ratchet bombed.
Okay, I'm down with playing the Delver, and I don't think I think we just have to like not try to get on the back to basics here. So yeah, I am with your plan. We are so ready to beat the half of the deck our opponent did not draw. That is completely accurate. We're ready to beat like the Chalice of the Void, thought not part of the deck. Okay. So now we don't want 2, 4, 6. We go to 13. We have to fetch again the following turn, probably. Go to 12. So I'm cool trading here.
It doesn't feel great.
No, it does not.
And
Well,
it would turn our EE into just a very awkward and slow 1-for-1.
Yeah. Because if our Delver flips, then we can trade
With the
completely in the next
endless
turn.
one.
Yeah.
Which I would actually like.
And we still have the same decision the following turn in case they do have a threat. So I'm cool with okay. I have been talked into letting this happen. We'll take the hit.
It'll suck if the next turn they draw a land and go like land Thought-Knot, but like we still have the force, so
yeah.
Flooded Strand.
Delver did not flip. No. Okay, no. So that's unfortunate, but I think the play here now is this is so awkward because of the Tundra.
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to go like I don't think they have a wasteland. They just would have played it out. So I kind of just want to go Tundra as to not fetch.
Yeah, agreed. And we might be pressed into like chump blocking next turn, depending on what their follow-up is. We'll see. I doubt it though.
Yeah, I'm not going to attack with the Delver. This is not a game that is going to be won or lost on a single point of life.
Yeah.
This is one where, like, one way or another, in the next, like, 2 turns, someone is going to have an overwhelming advantage this game.
Another endless one. Huh.
I don't really want to force that.
I know, I don't either. I think that just sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate as it is, I think it just sticks. Jay Bentley, our explosives is on 2, so the endless ones will survive the explosives.
Yeah, so they're cast for it, 2 mana total, but their converted mana cost when they're on the battlefield is just 0.
We're not in a good spot, but
I think in order to win this game, we have to force the first real play that they make.
Agreed.
These are the baby step plays.
We can't disenchant either. These are not artifacts.
I think I take all of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Come on, Delver. Flip, please. Flip to Swords to Plowshares.
Disenchant. Okay. Unfortunately, not a card we can actually use. But now we have the opportunity. So we're going to chump block.
Yeah.
Play the Flooded Strand, I suppose, in order to get a second basic planes.
It gives us the flexibility.
And then pass.
So the terrifying thing that, like, yes, our opponent is bricking on land, but as soon as they draw 1, this game is totally unlocked for them, and we have nothing.
Yeah. We were very well equipped to beat the half of that they did not draw. That is an accurate statement. Eldrazi Temple, oh no.
Alright, so
Oh
here comes
no.
Thought-Knot Seer, or equivalent.
So honestly, if they cast the Thought-Knot Seer, I think we just let it happen, right? Because the mimics we have handled, the Thought-Knot Seer will take them back to basics and we just have the force. Like, it does not behoove us to force of will it.
I'm not so sure about that. If I looked at this hand, I might take the Force of Will. Because, like, if we answer the Mimics, we're going to take 2 this turn, and then
Oh, and there's a
like,
4/4 in play.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm cool with forcing this then. Yeah, the 4/4. Sorry, I'm just not used to creatures mattering, so you have to understand. One-time Terminus, please. Okay, now we jump block. Take 3 and then hope we don't die. We have a fetch land to preserve.
Rainstorm. No.
Unfortunately, we have died.
See if they show us one more relevant spell. But, like, we already can't fetch with these, so we are effectively dead. Like,
Yeah.
technically, we can draw a Stoneforge Mystic off the top and deploy Batterskull, and they don't do anything. But since they've been, bricking on lands for turns, they've got gas.
They have a ton of spells in hand, yeah. It's probably another Thought-Knot Seer. Sure. Yeah. All right, so on the play now, it's gonna sound very wonky, but I kind of want to cut the 2 Jaces and bring in the 2 Dazes. Is that weird? Or cut a Snapcaster Mage and the 2 Jaces and bring in, like, bring back the Spell Pierce or something? I'm not sure. I definitely want the Dazes in the play though.
I mean, I can see going without the Jace, but
I don't think we need to rely on Jace at all in this matchup. I think we can just stabilize behind the board and kind of play the aggro role if we need to. Plus, our opponent seems to have a lot of those like miniature creatures, like the mimics, and be more reliant on early tempo with like as many ways as possible to generate mana, because they also showed us Simon Spirit Guide in turn 1 or game 1 rather. So like I don't know if Jace is ever going to be relevant.
that's true. But at the same time, if they like go all in on a Thought-Knot like we've seen, and then we get to like Jace bounce it.
Well, we also can just beat a Thought-Knot in play like very easily. Because we have a bunch of removal, we have true names, we have GTA, Stoneforge, all that stuff.
So I kind of want to get this other Snapcaster Mage in here, just to like have another effective copy of Swords to Plowshares.
Um,
I don't know how correct that is.
it's a very mana-intensive copy of Swords of Plowshares, but I like it. Hmm.
So like, is it better than like the second Pierce or something like
Maybe
that?
maybe we're actually supposed to. Okay. Patrick makes a good point. I think maybe we cut the Dazes and bring in the Snapcaster Mage and the Pierce. I think I like that a little bit better.
I can see that.
Yeah. I will not. I don't want to cut back to basics against the deck that doesn't play any basics.
Yeah, it is an I win card if we can actually resolve it. So like,
Is Snare not better than Pierce? It could be. I didn't think too much about that.
Yikes.
4-sided shuffle, yeah. Or a mulligan. um, hmm.
I mean, it's a keep.
It is a keep, yeah.
It's just super sad.
Top.
That's a top.
Patrick, it's also Karn, 3-ball, Thorn. But I guess Snare is better
Ratchet
against all of those
Bomb.
cards. Well, Snare also hits all of his cards and also hits Mimics and so on. So maybe he's right. Yeah, you might be right. So I want to Tundra Ponder.
We put Wasteland on top, though. Like, we know we're drawing that.
Sure.
So
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it's better to have a blue card in hand.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm fine with Tundra Go, and if we get wastelanded, like we've traded a land for their land, which is a situation that I am 100% okay on being in.
Agreed.
Yep, perfect.
Yep. Fine with us.
They don't know how land heavy we are.
Yeah.
So now
Uh,
I think I'm fine with.
we're
No,
fine with
maybe
them
not.
wastelanding us again, I think. If that's what they want to do with their mana. Yeah, Patrick, I think you might be onto it. I think you're correct. Wow. Okay, so they are going to wasteland us again. That's fine.
I would love to draw a blue card, so I'd feel confident in pondering.
Yeah. Well,
Perfect.
that's a blue card.
We don't have a third Tundra, right? No.
No, we do not. This is a shuffle, unfortunately.
I believe so.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
That's fine. Oh, just pass. Just pass. Just pass.
It's never just a pass. We have to force this.
Are we pitching our force or our brainstorm?
Our
I
force.
think our force.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think we even brainstorm this turn. I think we just like snap off the wasteland on their land and pass.
Agreed.
And then hope to use the brainstorm for a perfect brainstorm a turn or two down the line.
I'm curious what their mana base is if they're also playing Gemstone Caverns.
It might just be like a wonky 2-of or something.
That's definitely possible, yeah. Yeah, just snap off the wasteland and pass.
We've got the next chalice potentially answered. If they're just going to mimic or something, they can have that.
Yeah. Hello, Static Crypt. Welcome. We're currently in game 3 of match 2 against Aggro Eldrazi, I suppose.
I don't really know how good Gemstone Cavern actually is. I know people are messing with it again.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that degree of card disadvantage is worth it overall.
Okay.
This is sort of a critical turn.
It is.
Where if we brainstorm and whiff, we probably die. But if we just like pass and then they have like land plus follow up, we probably lose.
They almost certainly have another land in hand. They wasted us twice in a row.
I agree.
So we need to fetch, like, desperately.
Hitting a white source at all is acceptable, but
Yeah.
that's like fetch plus 2 planes.
All right,
I'm cool.
I'm cool with living by the sword, dying by the sword here.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, even if we miss the land, if we like set ourselves up for like for force blue card. All right. So the good news is like I can set up a Delver to flip. The bad news is everything else.
So,
I think the most valuable card is the Brainstorm.
Agreed.
So I think we put back Brainstorm with Delver on top, and then
yep.
Sadly pass. There's even a world where we just like play this out on 0 now.
I think there's a high chance that we do that this turn because it incentivizes him to play more mana intensive things. Which, I mean, we can't beat either one of those entities, but we have at least one of them hedged. If he just like plays a bunch of like endless ones, we can't beat that either. Our draws in the post-board games have not lined up very well, I think.
No, like we haven't drawn a Stoneforge. We haven't resolved a true name or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's been rough.
Patrick, I agree. Matter Reshaper. Okay.
That's fine.
They do have basics. Yes, but Back to Basics is still like easily one of your best cards in this matchup. So Luino makes the good point that we might need to wait a turn and hold the Brainstorm, and I might agree.
Well, the Brainstorm is the second card down, so
Oh,
it's
then no, I guess.
100% happening.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
So I didn't want to put them in the other order because like if we miss on that second Brainstorm, I don't see any world in which we win.
Agreed. Reality Smasher.
Yikes.
Okay.
So we will probably need to brainstorm into White Source for Swords, the Plowshares, the Reality Smasher, and then potentially we have to like trade the Delver for something.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we are probably not going to win this game, unfortunately. Okay, so White Source.
Well,
okay, that is a White Source.
That is technically correct, yes.
Are we dead on board?
So we
No,
swords
we're not.
this. No, we're not dead on board, just very close.
So we swords that, I think pitching the Disenchant?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then we just like bury the creatures because they can trade with bodies.
Yes. Actually, I think we're dead no matter what.
With them playing any one card, we are dead. For sure. And then we're very likely dead otherwise. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
we're dead.
We are dead to that.
Yep.
So I felt like the matchup was favorable there, and our game 2 and 3 draws were just rough.
Agreed.
Largely on the back of some rough mulligans.
Pokemokey 2. Sorry, this has already been answered, but you can talk about the pros and cons between this build and a build with 4 true names and Niv Magus Elemental. Certainly, the Niv Magus version is one that I personally prefer, because I think it's better at being a Delver deck, and it also leverages true name a lot better, compared to this version of the deck, which is significantly less of an all-in Delver style of archetype and more leverages the Delver to have a good like Ancient Tomb and combo matchup. Yeah, Luinal, and to everyone else in chat, it's possible that we should have sideboarded even further differently because our opponent was very much in the aggro version of Eldrazi. And yes, I think you do, because I think you do want all the disenchants regardless, though, because that card is so obnoxious. Chalice of the Void. It's not obnoxious. I mean, it is easily one of the things you have to respect the most in Legacy today.
So our opponent is probably playing Ant. That's what their last finish was with.
I believe our opponent. I've played against his opponent a few times now, and I think they're on Ant as well.
So I think this is a keep. We have 2 pieces of disruption.
Yep.
Although we do probably have to ponder turn 1.
Also agreed. Yes. And if our opponent suddenly decides that they want to play Delver, we're probably just going to die.
That's a shuffle.
That's a shuffle. Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Life is good. So my impression is that Ant is favored in this matchup. What is your impression?
Game 1 is rough. I think it's favored for the Niv Magus version of the deck, actually, because you're significantly more of a Delver deck you don't have, and you have a lot more disruption. You have like 4 Flusterstorms post board, but um, this version, I think game 1 is a little rough because you don't have a ton of cards that really matter and you don't have a quick clock, but post board can be a little bit better. And I think that kind of describes how this deck compares to like the other version of the deck a lot better as well. So they went bottom top of the Preordain.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to just deploy the Stoneforge Mystic. I know that sounds awkward, but like we're not going to win a long game, really.
I think
Maybe
we
we
wait a
can.
turn.
Yeah, okay. I can see pondering as well piercing this turn.
I don't think I'm comfortable tapping out. I would like to spell pierce the first duress effect that we see.
Yeah. Part of me, like game 1s, I'm usually just like I'm gonna die, so I will play the most proactive thing possible, but it's probably way safer. And we have the ability to kind of be insulated too against like something like goblins, perhaps, coming down. So we want the Ponder and the Delver, but not the Judgment.
I think we just take the Delver, fetch, play the Delver.
Yes,
maybe not.
that seems well.
Like,
we can take the Ponder, play the Delver next turn, flip it to Judgment, fetch the Judgment away while holding up Disruption. I like that more than playing the Delver this turn specifically.
okay, all right. Yeah, I like that because it still lets us hold up Pierce for the first duress effect.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have to end up fetching away the Delver if we wanted to, but I think that's fine either way. Yeah. Oh, sorry, fetching away the Ponder, rather. Excuse me.
And I would be fine throwing away the Ponder if we have to. I'm not like the Ponder's fine, but it's replaceable by literally any blue card.
Yeah, I'd rather not lose the Delver. Goblin Lucky says, is it possible to play a league without running into Ant? My experience says no. I think I've played against Ant twice in the last 4 leagues, so that's 50%. Something along those lines. I don't have my stats or moto pulled up in front of me right this second, but all right. Well, next turn we're just gonna play the Delver and hope it flips, or it will flip to the Judgment, which we're gonna shuffle away. We have Force, blue card, and Pierce. Okay. Chooses not to shuffle. Correct? No, I'm sorry. Can you scroll down in your log? Chooses not to shuffle. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So this Plains is getting like really annoying.
So, question: am I actually supposed to play the Stoneforge and get Batterskull?
And hold up Pierce for this. Yeah, okay, I'm down with that. Because then Batterskull is actually a better clock.
And this also lets us shuffle away the Council's Judgment, which we don't actually want to draw.
Yeah. Okay. I have been tucked into that. That makes sense. There's a high likelihood that we die here, though.
Yeah. So that Thoughtseize is just going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, there is a world that we spell pierce the Ponder last turn, but I don't think it's very common necessarily. Maybe that's not. Maybe we should have thought about that play.
I don't really think that's good. Like yeah. I've spent a decent amount of time playing Ant recently, and like while you can go and aggressively trade cantrips for like your cards like Spell Pierce and just like make sure you get the 1-for-1, like they don't care. They can outlast.
And Pierce,
especially when we don't have a clock in play.
Correct. I think Pierce is also like one of the worst like counter magic spells in this matchup, regardless. So they're gonna eat the Pierce out of our hand.
This is borderline.
They're probably getting a discard spell or a
Just in, like potentially like an LED or something like that. That's just like valuable LED or
yeah
Cabal Ritual that will invalidate the Spell Pierce anyway.
yeah. I want to spell pierce this.
Like they're clearly willing to make the trade because like they're casting it into our Pierce.
Yeah, but they're fine without it either
But I
way.
think we have to because like if they just like Dark Ritual next turn, like they can pay for this Pierce and then we have nothing.
Yes. And as this way we have a plan. Our plan is not great, but it's a plan. So we really want to draw a Force of Will next turn.
Yikes.
Not a plow. Okay. Yeah. We're looking for a brainstorm, a shuffle effect.
Force, perfect.
Force. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Put the Jace on top. No, I guess draw the land, and then yeah.
I think I want the land more than the Jace.
Yeah, I
It's
agree with you.
close. So, I did, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 leagues with Ant over the past 2 weeks. And I always just felt favored versus the blue decks, except Miracles because it has counterbalance and that card's obnoxious. But I just always felt like I could grind through or invalidate a lot of like the soft permission that like these Delver decks have. Because like when you start making it to turns like 4, 5, 6, which you very much can do on like the non-aggressive starts, like the pierces and the days essentially become non-factors. And so like then you care about the card Force of Will. And that's
and it's
it.
the only card you cared. Yeah. I mean, we have to let this resolve.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about forcing it for just a second, but like, yeah, I mean, and is absolutely favored against Delver. I think the only case for that not to be like true would be pre-probe, pre-Death Earth Shaman ban Grixis Delver, in which case the matchup was like maybe not as favored, but like very close.
Yeah. Past in Flames is also just like so obnoxious versus the blue decks in game one. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you have taken all of my early resources.
So this also has to happen. Because if they take the Batter Skull, they're going to take the Force of Will, but like if they take the Batter Skull, then we just hit them with the GT, which is functionally the same card.
Sure.
I mean, it's 1 or 2 turns slower, but still, like, our clock is abysmally slow. They're going to take the Force regardless, so, like,
yeah.
I'd rather have the option of playing the Delver, which is funny because we either fetch and it goes away. Yeah, because the top of our library is a fetch land.
There's a Scalding Tarn followed by Jace.
So our Delver's not going to flip. Which is like all sorts of awkward because I kind of want the Jace, but also like our relevant cards are not that relevant anymore. We have 2 snares, 2 pierces, and 2 forces left in the deck that matter.
Yeah, my game 1 win percentage against Delver was crazy.
Yeah.
In the post sideboard games where they can play like turn 1 Delver, turn 2 Grafdigger's Cage or something like that, that's a different story.
Yes.
That gets hard.
So there's a high likelihood that we die next turn, but I don't think our opponent has mana this turn to kill us.
Yeah, they would need a very strong set of cards. So they would need like Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, LED, Infernal Tutor, or Past in Flames.
Looks like they have that combination of cards.
Yeah.
How do I have the background blurred like
Oh
that?
god,
it's a setting on Skype.
They have
so
the
weird.
Past in Flames in hand, which means we're just dead.
We are
So
dead
they're going to
indeed.
get Cabal Ritual off of this, then
Yep.
go Cabal Ritual, go up to a ton of mana, flashback Past in Flames, then go Cabal Writ, Dark Writ, Infernal Tutor, kill.
Yeah, we are in fact dead.
Deterministic kill.
Yes.
Also, like, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but like after playing Ant for a little while, I can see the code. I can see the matrix. So like I get like how can I win on X number of cards? Like I understand that a lot better than I used to.
There's actually a matrix that I believe Brandon Osborne created a couple of years ago. This was back when Probe was like a thing. But anyway, um, this matchup does not get that much better post board, it looks like, in this configuration. So I'll let you start, and then I'll interject as far as sideboarding is concerned.
Right. So I like Fluster, I like Surgical, and I'll play EE as well. It's possible that they're boarding in a copy or two of Empty the Warrens, but this can also just like tag LEDs that are played out, which is actually probably the more relevant mode.
Correct.
There is a world where like we have more slots to play, and so we end up like boarding in some mediocre card like Disenchant, but I just kind of like need to see the numbers. So like the Swords to Plowshares are obviously going to come out. And this Council's Judgment is going to come out as well. Then we still have some mediocre cards left in the deck.
We do. So this is the kind of weird spot where I want to board out the true names and board in the Containment Priests.
As a 2/1 Flash Bear.
Indeed. Or 2/2 Flash Bear. That's literally it.
Yep.
I know the true names are blue, but I think you have to.
I get it. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I'm not really interested in Back to Basics. And I'm not super interested in
a big tap out threat or
like,
oh, I'll play this Disenchant and I'll try to get them if they sequence wrong.
I don't. So usually if our opponent is playing Storm Magic online, I give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of their pilot capabilities, because they would probably pilot the Storm deck much better than I could in paper in most cases, and they're very, very, very well practiced individuals for the most part as well. So I'm not going to try to necessarily cheese the game out in that sense. God.
I mean, I think it's a keep, but I'm not happy. Like we have one good piece of disruption, one bad piece of disruption, and
how do we
technically a clock.
I think we have to mulligan this hand. I think we're looking specifically for either a Delver or one of our like 1-mana interaction spells or a cantrip. This hand doesn't beat any Storm draw at all. Like double discard plus go off is very reasonable, and we have to put them under a quick clock.
I can see it.
That's my opinion at least. I don't think I can keep this hand in the dark, or I don't think I can keep this hand against Storm at all.
I would keep it and be unhappy about it, but I think it's borderline.
This hand is much better.
Yeah, this is definitely better.
I think people tend to mulligan less than they should, just as a general note.
I 100% agree.
Bottom that.
Bottom.
Yeah. Tundra Delver. And then the following turn, we're going to Flash Bear them and hope that's good enough.
Well, if our Delver blind flips in the first 2 turns, we do have a very respectable clock.
Thoughtseize resolves.
Yep.
We also have the option of wastelanding them.
Which I'm not sure how I feel about. Like, it's going to 100% depend on what our next card is.
Yeah, it does.
I'm also more likely to wasteland if the Delver blind flips.
Yeah. A concept to note, I think, and one of the reasons why I like a lot of Storm decks are going to be favored against most blue decks outside of Miracles, is that most blue decks usually only attack you from 1 or 2 angles. Delver, okay. All
Well,
right, well, I think we have a plan of wastelanding them, playing another Delver, and crossing our fingers.
that's a great plan. Well, maybe not a great plan, but it's what's happening.
We did indeed, Goblin Lackey. We did indeed. Um, but I think it's important to attack combo from two or from like 3 to 4 different angles in order to be like facilitatively like good against them. And I think those angles are quick clock so that you can't let them get set up. Permanent base disruption, so like counterbalance, Aethersworn Canoness, discard, so like Thoughtseize and Inquisition and Hymns and so on. And then finally, counter magic. I think you have to be comfortably like considered remotely favorable against combo. You have to have 3 of the 4, in my opinion.
Agreed. And I think so. What did Preordain do? That was top with the Preordain.
So I feel scared. I feel very scared.
I would love to flip the Delvers to a Flusterstorm.
JDHim, I believe that the Delver or the And versus Miracles matchup is very close. Gosh darn it. All right, well, we have enough for the Flash Bear now, at least.
We do.
We have a Scry for the Delvers. I think the matchup is very close. I think Miracles is slightly further ahead if they have both counterbalance and accumulated knowledge in their 75. If they don't have both of those cards, then I think Ant is favored, but it's very close either way.
I think Miracles is favored if they have counterbalance, like full stop.
And that's a reasonable stance to take. I've played the matchup a ton. And I get scared all the time by playing against like Brandon or
Duress. All right,
yeah.
You get my Jace that you know about. Like, you know both my cards. This might just be them trying to get Hellbent for Infernal Tutor purposes rather than anything else, or just like taking a card. So,
we don't flash it in now. Do we?
So, if we blind flip, it is a boon to have this in play as well. If we don't blind flip the first, and then we fetch, and we blind flip the second, so that we have 4 damage. I think the guaranteed damage and the gamble that we're taking is more important. Because, like, I think if we whiff on draws, like, we're going to lose anyway. So, like, we need to play towards the worlds where we win.
Yeah, it's actually a quicker clock, mathematically speaking, if we fetch now in ambush quality. It is, but we have no plan. Our opponent can likely beat a single point of disruption at this point anyway. Force of will.
We will reveal that. You can know about it. This hit is actually big though.
It is.
Because like this probably shuts off ad nauseum as a viable way for our opponent to win.
Indeed. And empty doesn't matter anywhere here either.
So the Duress last turn was kind of weird, and that kind of makes me think that like they were close to going off. So they were either close to going off and they were getting that out of their hand for Infernal Tutor purposes, or they had another discard spell, and so they weren't worried about burning one.
I think it was because then it had another discard spell, just based off of the way this hand is playing out. Because I think an Infernal Tutor in their hand is actually lethal. And we somehow won that game, so that's pretty...
Wasn't necessarily expecting to.
Yeah, me neither.
And I don't think we change anything. I think we run this back.
Agreed. The Flash Bears actually did something there. No, actually did it.
At the same time, if we had True Name Nemesis, it would have pitched to Force, but like...
Correct.
Wow, this is a great hand.
Excellent, yeah.
We'll see if it's good enough.
That's a very realistic question, because like this deck is attacking from 1 out of the 4 possible angles to attack combo, and it's not very good at doing even that.
I would be very happy if our opponent mulliganed. Like
I think they're thinking about it, it seems.
Like, our hand is very objectively good, but like we very realistically can just lose.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, say
Swamp.
we get discarded here, they can take the Flusterstorm, which is probably the best card in the hand. They can, like, play around Pierce, and that really just leaves us with one card in hand that matters. It really just leaves us with the Force of Will.
Yep. They take the force. Okay.
All right, so they're trying to get us to, like, tap out for this Ponder.
Which we're not going to do.
No way.
Another consideration that someone mentioned earlier was to board in back to basics. Another thing I don't want to do, it's less about fighting on their axis, but our mana is also pretty important, I think. And I don't want to worry about our mana. Like, I don't want to have to care about.
I love just being able to play this out and not have to worry at all.
Yeah. So I think we just have
I think I just
Island go.
pass with double thing up.
Yeah, agreed.
So the thing that sucks is, like, we don't have a clock, and if they just go, like, land, discard spell, like, neither one of these
Actually matters.
And if they go, like, Dark Ritual, we can't really counter it. Alright, so we're at least somewhat lucky.
Okay. So I feel safe basically only casting Ponder this turn.
I agree. It just, like, doesn't feel good.
No, it does not. We're just really looking for a Delver. Like, that's our best card in this matchup by a lot. Or Brainstorm. I would accept a Brainstorm as well. A Force of Will. I think this is actually a shuffle.
You're not comfortable just, like, taking the Force and then shuffling the other two away with our Flooded Strand?
Let me think. I guess we have... Okay, yeah, that's fine. I think we need to have... Yeah, you're right. I think the Force is necessary, too, because it allows us to actually play a threat the following turn, or play a threat this turn if we really wanted to.
I still don't think we can play this.
No, I don't think we can
doing
either.
it next turn, though.
Yeah. Yeah, the Force lets us do it next turn, assuming we draw either another
like,
blue
if
card
we tap
or...
out for Stoneforge, we just lose to single disruption.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is fine. It's very irritating to just kind of have play as safe as possible because we don't have any good non-hand based disruption elements in our deck.
So this is one of the reasons why I like traditional Stoneblade over this deck, because, like, in the sideboard you usually get a bunch of things like Meddling Mage and Aethersworn Canonist, where, like, you can safely tap out for them.
Yeah, Harlan's list is a little odd because it leverages Delver as its cards that are good against combos, so to speak, rather than like Canonist, Meddling Mage, and so on. But and hoping that the Delvers themselves are good enough to kind of carry. And a lot of time they are. Like last game, I think was a very testament to how good Delver actually can be. Even the Delvers did not flip for like 4 turns. The single turn window granted to you, I think, was really important. Thoughtseize.
Well,
Storm count is 2.
Yeah, so that's... I think we just...
we let it resolve.
Let that happen.
Yeah.
Probably means the Force is just going, but...
Yeah, probably.
Like, that's okay. We'll get to play Stoneforge with 2 pieces of counter magic up, which is really closer to 1.5 if we assume another piece of discard to, like, take the Fluster at some point, because the Spell Pierce is close to dead.
Yeah. Them having Flusterstorm and not taking it twice now makes me think that they're leaning on a Past in Flames kind of mana looping hand, just from texture of them not taking the Flusterstorm twice now.
I think that's a reasonable interpretation. This is a great draw, by the way.
It is a fantastic draw. They may have their own Flusterstorm as well, which, I mean, if they have their own Flusterstorm, that's also a reasonable thing to have.
I don't think they're going to have their own Flusters. I think they're going to bring in, like, an Empty, a Duress, and, like, maybe 1 to 2 answers to threats.
Yeah.
Or, like, say, something like Abrupt Decay.
Patrick asked earlier as well if it's reasonable to have counterbalance in the sideboard of a deck like this. I think it's more reasonable to have in like traditional Stoneblade, as like an like a split card that's good against both combo and fair decks. In this deck, it's a little polarizing. I think that's kind of difficult to leverage properly. It's definitely still possible. Like you can physically put some in your sideboard, but yeah, typical board against Blue-Eyed Delver is one empty, one extra discard. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's similar to what you were saying, Phil.
Yeah, so like I have Cyrus's Storm sideboard guide, and I flipped to a Delver deck. I just like flipped to blue-red Delver. And the plan for that was like add empty, duress, 2 decays for ad naus,
Yeah.
preordained, Rain of Filth.
Yeah, they're all very similar in terms of plans against combo now too, because they can't attack you from multiple angles very well. Oh, nice. Okay, that's great. So we're hoping here that our opponent has a line that requires them to lean heavily on Passing Flames and not just like killing us a bunch, I guess, for multiple scenarios. And even then, our position is tenuous at best.
Yeah, I'm unsure how strong our position actually is. Like, I would love to be able to surgical something so that I can just like get a feel for how good our position is, but like there's nothing worth surgicaling. You know, there's not an infernal tutor in the graveyard that I can get or anything like that.
Yeah. This is probably an Infernal Tutor.
I think we just let that resolve.
Yes, agreed. Ooh, maybe we can do the trick here.
All right, so they've gotten a Cabal Ritual. So if they
I would think a little bit of a fetch this right now.
like if they fetch just like snap surgical the infernal tutors.
Yes, I would think about it for a moment and talk about the decision trees if that happens, but I don't know if they need to. Yeah, it's certainly possible that they don't have to do any of that.
So do I just like surgical the infernals now while the storm count is decent?
The storm count is going to be decent on our own turn as well, right?
Well, like they've already infernal tutored.
Oh, sure. I'm okay with that. I like half of me wants to wait for our draw step to inform us on what we want to do, but I think I'm okay with taking the Infernal Tutors here now.
I mean, we can wait. It maybe doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it. I want to just see what we draw. What's up, Jesse?
Well, that's insane.
It's a very good draw. So now we don't necessarily have to take the Infernal Tutors yet. We can wait for them to cast Cabal Ritual. Yeah, Jedaham, I know. But we also have a Passive Flames line covered. I know it's really good. I 100% think it's fantastic, but we can wait until we have more information. Okay. So them fetching here. They have not cantripped for a while, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the decision tree of us extracting tutor here means that
If we try to extract tutor here and they have another tutor in hand, they can brainstorm, put their tutor back, and I strip it from the deck rather than their hand.
which that's going to happen no matter what and when we do this.
I think I do it now.
I agree with you. The other consideration there, it's annoying that the Bloodstained Mire is just like popping up in front of the thing. I hope you targeted the right thing. Okay, great. Like the Moto interface, like so you don't see it. So they have Cabal Ritual,
Oh
Cabal
man, we
Ritual,
got this hand
somewhat,
potentially beat
yes.
with just Flusterstorm.
Yes.
Ooh, I think I called the sideboard plan. Nope, no, I did not call the sideboard plan card for card.
No,
So
they don't have.
they have not brought in the empty. They did bring in the 2 decays that I suspected. They also brought in a massacre,
That's
which
interesting.
is good
It's
to
a
know
hedge. It's a
about.
hedge against Canonist. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so they have 4 Writs plus Adnos.
Let me.
Great.
Okay, I have stepped it as well, so that I can follow along at home. So they don't have any discard spells, but they can maybe play over the top of Flusterstorm by just generating enough Storm. Interesting. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. So let's think about this. Can our Spell Pierce do anything?
So they'll go Dark Rit. That puts them to 5.
Yeah.
Then they'll go down to 3 in order to cast a Cabal Writ. We can Spell Snare that. They'll go down to 1 in order to cast the second Cabal Writ, which is effectively 4 mana.
Yeah.
So that'll put them up to 9. And then Pierce plus Fluster
That's enough.
should
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, you're right.
They do have the LED to think about, but I think we're okay.
I think we're okay as well. This Spell Snare has like, okay. I mean, it doesn't matter what order they do it in, right?
Yeah, I think I will just. Well, maybe I'm supposed to let this one happen.
One of them will happen no matter what.
Yeah, no, I should take the first one.
Yeah.
Like, I want to build the Storm Count towards like making sure Fluster beats this.
Agreed. Do they have a Dark Petition? They do not.
No. I also really hate how inconsistent the Storm Counter is on Moto.
Yeah, it decides to show up there or not sometimes.
And I don't understand why or when.
Also, I think the only week that it actually worked completely correctly was week 1 of it existing. And that it showed when the Storm Count increased past 2.
I would be fine if it did that all the time.
Agreed. So I'm a software developer by trade. That's my day job. That's how I pay the bills. So I look at a lot of nuances like this, and I think about how I want to fix them. And that's sometimes something that I like to do as far as like just coding exercises are concerned. Like, how do I not do this and what I want to do? That sort of thing. So our opponent is thinking about, because they know about the Flusterstorm and they know about the. Do they know about the Spell Pierce? I think they do.
I believe they do.
Yeah.
So they're probably trying to figure out, like, do I just need to stop? Or, like, is there a line that beats this?
Yeah. And I think that they're going to have to not go for it.
So, like, assuming we don't count or anything, they Dark Writ, they go up to 3 mana. Then they go up to 6 mana when they cast Cabal Writ. So they have 9, effectively 12 mana total. They would use 5 of that to cast Ad Nauseam, leaving them with 7. Pierce takes away 2 of that. Fluster would take away the rest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
So instead, they could. What? Just.
Well, yeah, the other option is they don't do anything this turn.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough mana to cast the passive limbs otherwise. So they can eat the 2 cards in our hand and have nothing, or they can pause and just know about the 2 cards in our hand while we attack them the following turn to increase the storm count that they need to kill us. Okay, so they decided for the second option, which I think is a reasonable line to take.
We don't know the top card of our library, right?
We do not. We have not cantripped since turn 2. Turn 3 was our first cantrip. And we have perfect information. We have Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, and Ad Nauseam in hand.
So I'm expecting, well, maybe not expecting, but it would not surprise me if our opponent goes for an Ad Nauseam during our turn at some point.
I agree with you. I think we should ponder before combat. Because that increases the storm count as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Tricky.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I think we take the Pierce just so like we have one more piece of interaction.
Agreed, because each
even
spell
though
we
it's
cast
not
is 2 mana.
particularly good.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then we attack. And we make Ad Nauseam actually also appreciably worse.
Yeah.
Double Pierce into Fluster might be good enough. We'll see.
The other thing is that, like, from 11, Ad Naus is, like, very much not guaranteed.
Yeah. We took a bunch of 2s out of their deck, but they have 3 4/4s, including Massacre.
The Ad Naus from this low of a life total is significantly harder without... Yeah, Ritual happens, that's fine.
Hang on. Does double Pierce Fluster? Yeah, okay, it still beats this. Go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. So sorry, like I did math for a second. Yeah.
The win from here... yeah, that's fine. The win from here would be hard. It would have to involve just, like, finding the tendrils.
Indeed. So they drew another Dark Ritual for turn, basically.
Yeah. So their last card is Ad Naus.
Indeed.
So, like, they're just going for that, and then I can throw all the counter magic at that.
Yep.
So, storm count is what? 1, 2, 3,
4.
4. So
yeah.
So I start with a Pierce. All right, now we have the storm count. The storm count is 5.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be counter unless they pay 6, so I do need to Pierce first.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel, like, good to throw 3 spells at this, but it's actually fine.
Yeah.
Given that, like, we have a decent clock and a ponder on top of the deck to find another piece of disruption. Our opponent also, like, does not have a Past in Flames in the yard or anything like that.
Correct. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me as to why they blew the LED there, to be quite honest. They could have left it in play because they knew this was going to happen regardless, or rather used it to pay for it at the end. All right, we fetch first, I think. We don't want the top card, and we want a fresh look.
So, like, just to talk about that, there is a world where if they don't crack the LED, they might not have, like, mana to start going from Ad Naus afterwards.
Sure, but they can wait for the Flustrum to hit the stack before they hit the LED, because they knew that was a forced play.
Oh, sure.
Shuffle. These cards don't matter. That card
fine.
Also doesn't matter, but whatever. They did not know about the second Pierce, correct. But my point is, even if our hand was Spell Pierce, Brainstorm, and Flusterstorm, the force play is still, like, pierce and then build up Storm Count and then Flusterstorm. So they didn't necessarily need to burn the LED at all. Top bottom, okay. So they probably have a Brainstorm in hand. If that had to be the card that they kept. Yeah, that's great.
So we put them to 1. They can't fetch.
Correct. They can respond to the Flusterstorm or whatever. They could have had a chance there for sure. Cabal Ritual. That's fine.
Yes. Like literally whatever this spell is, I force it.
Okay, just force this.
It's dead on board.
Yeah. Blue Cheese 3. This deck plays Delvers in the main deck. Like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised that we managed to pull this match out. It did not feel very good, but Teor, GG's. I don't know if they'll end up watching the video or anything like that, but that was a pretty good match.
We've had some grindy ones here.
Yeah, for certainly. We'll get our money's worth for sure. Quick 2-minute restroom break?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I could use to refresh my water. So I'm just going to keep audio live, but I'm going to go to a be right back screen.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back, chat. All right, chat, I'm back. While we're waiting for Min, if you have any questions that you want to fire away into the chat, feel free, and I'll do what I can to answer them. Thank you for joining me tonight, by the way. I'm not the biggest blue-white Delver fan, but it's really nice to be able to like play this with someone who has a better idea of what's going on. And one of the things I always talk about in Legacy is that you gain a lot by like actually playing other decks to just like see what things really are like on the other side of the table and like move away from just like total theory crafting versus like just getting a stronger feel how the decks actually perform, and you get to like see what some of the holes are. So like, for example, in that match,
as well.
Hey, I'm just kind of shooting the bull with the chat. So like, for example, in that match, we did see kind of a hole of the deck list where you don't actually have that many early threats, and we were terrified to tap out for something like a Stoneforge. And without Hate Bears or anything in the sideboard, you know, we definitely felt some of the weaknesses of this deck list.
Indeed.
Although on the other hand, when we, you know, go and play against Red Prison and we flaunt our 6 basic lands and our Stoneforge Mystics, it feels pretty darn good.
Our matchup against Red Prison was actually pretty dicey, even though we ended up pulling it out. with the attacking the mana. I believe our opponent is also streaming, and I believe they're on Ad Nauseam Tendrils.
Um, they don't have any finishes, but I also feel like they're an ant player.
Yeah, I think so. But I think I'm going to evaluate this hand on the dark, and I think we have to keep it, even knowing that. Um, just because we have a fairly fair hand against most of the format. Although the Wasteland plus the Misty is somewhat awkward. What do you think?
Hmm.
I guess it depends on your philosophy of whether or not you want to board as if you know what your opponent is on online, or sorry, rather keep game ones based on that fact or not.
So like, what does this hand beat? Does this hand actually beat a fair deck? Because
I think
I'm
it.
not sure that the answer is yes, because we're probably priced into fetching Tundra with this hand, and then we only kind of have one real land.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see it maybe having a chance against Delver as a fair deck, but you might be onto something there.
I
Yeah, okay, I
like
can be talked into
I don't
involving in this
know
hand.
what this beats. Like it folds hard to combo, and I don't like my chances against like a fair deck, whether it's like D&T or Red Prison or Maverick. I just feel like I'm going to lose to any opposing mana denial.
Sure.
So I think I'd rather
Yeah,
ship this and try to find something that's more stable.
that makes sense. Yeah, this is not great, but still probably fine.
I think we bottom that.
Agreed. I think we're just looking for spells for our Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah,
And
like even if our opponent isn't playing Ant, like we kind of just want something that we can cast to Snapcaster back.
yeah, so they could be an Ant or Show and Tell, or I guess also Miracles.
All right.
So they're all possible.
So a couple of questions from chat. So somewhat unrelated, but how do you think D&T is in the Legacy metagame right now? Decisively average. It's not a bad choice, but I don't think it is like that's a great draw.
It is.
I don't think D&T is one of the absolute best things that you can be doing in the format right now. There's a lot of True Name Nemesis and a lot of opposing Stoneforge Mystics right now, which I think is dangerous. The Delver decks are also running far more basic lands than they used to, so some of our cards that used to be super free against them, like Wasteland and Path to Exile, aren't nearly as good anymore. That being said, some of the cards of D&T are very powerful. I think Phyrexian Revoker and Serra Avenger, for example, are pretty well-positioned cards.
I agree with everything you just said.
So second thing, Loki asks about like the Niv Magus Elemental version of this. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Opponent missing a land drop.
They chose not to shuffle, however.
Yeah, which is scary.
It's terrifying.
I mean, I think we're obligated to play the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep, we have no decisions.
So like the Niv Magus Elemental version would give you a greater early game, so it would make you better against combo decks, but worse against decks where you have a real late game.
Correct. So I think the Niv Magus version has to rely on cheesing the opponent a lot of the time if they want to go like longer with cards like Jailer or Cataclysm. Um, Otherwise, I think that this version is more like it can be insulated and play both. I like the Niv Magus version more personally because I think I like decks that are better or more adept at having a singular plan. The Niv Magus version's plan is to have like a sticky big threat, either True Name because it plays four of them, Delver or Niv itself, and just kind of play more of a tempo-esque like Stoneforge Mystic strategy. Whereas I personally, sure. So they didn't. Okay, I see what happened. They probably had the land, but didn't play it because of Wasteland. They need the mana this turn to go off.
Alternatively, this Brainstorm is very important, and they're playing it around days.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, there's no reason for them to have cantripped the previous turn. Okay, I see what you're saying. So they're paying around both Wasteland and Days, and they need the mana this turn regardless.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in fighting the fours over this though, necessarily. What we really want to draw next turn is a one CMC counter spell of some sort.
Yeah, I'll let it go.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it go.
But I think there's a world where forcing that brainstorm is actually correct.
I agree. Like I said, I think our opponent is streaming, so it's possible that we could maybe, at a later date, of course, go back and kind of watch from their side as well. I tested goblins against this deck and found it rather favorable for the little green man. I agree with you. I think goblins can be somewhat better against this specific version because there's less tree names. I think that's literally the bar.
Well, I think
Crater,
goblins more generally is good against blue decks. Like you're the
yes, just
Cavern
as
of
a
Soul,
yeah.
draw 4 cards off your creature deck.
Okay, so they have the Thoughtseize, which is going to happen. To take if they take the battle skill, we slam the true name and continue attacking.
Oh no, they must certainly take the force. Like they've got to be close
Definitely,
to going off.
yeah, they have to. But I was just mostly conjecturing in case they did what our plan was the following turn. Okay. Well, spell pierce, spell snare off the top, please. Delta's almost like one of those cards.
And we don't play this very actively, so they don't know that the coast is clear.
Yeah.
And then we just pass and put in the batter skull if we're not dead. But I imagine we're dead.
We're probably dead. I would have also accepted Wasteland as a draw the previous turn.
Ooh, that would have been strong.
Yeah.
Because I don't think our opponent has another land. I think like this is their only initial mana source currently for black.
Yeah, I think so as well. So Goblin Lackey, I think you might be approaching a little bit wrong. You don't. True Name is very threatening, but I don't think singular answers to the card True Name Nemesis is actually what you want. You can beat a True Name pretty handily just by swarming the board and beating Jite, which is actually the card that's scary.
Yeah, I think you
So
plan on either going wide or answering with Trashmaster.
Yes. Yeah, I like.
Ooh, that was top. That's scary.
We seem extremely dead, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is not a technically correct play, by the way, chat, but like both players are very clear that like I have nothing at this point. So this is the F6 and like show me your line.
I'm gonna guess they have an Infernal Tutor and they're 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, so like Infernal Tutor plus Crack for red is just like very easy kill. Like Storm is already 6, it'd be 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that'll work too.
This is the same thing, yeah.
I don't even think they would have to Past in Flames. They could just like Infernal Tutor chain there if they like double crack the LEDs. But every way you skin the cat there results in me being dead.
Goblin Lucky, that makes sense. Yeah, Stefano, I'm trying a new like filter thing on Skype. I like it so far. It's like a fake green screen almost.
All right.
Same plan as before.
So
yeah.
we went Swords of Plowshares out, Council's Judgment out, Fish People out.
Yep, everything else stays the same.
Yeah. So again, this is a matchup where I very much like being, you know, a Stoneblade deck that gets to attack from multiple angles with like the Hate Bears and the counterspells rather than just counterspells. We definitely felt that in our previous round against Ant.
Indeed. Conversely, I don't mind being the Niv Magus version of the deck in this case either, because you have a stack of 4 Flusterstorms and additional like 1 CMC threats. So I think that's another like angle. It's hard to tell what you prefer, or what is objectively correct. I think both ways are definitely plausible, though. Yep. uh, huh.
Yikes.
Yeah, but I think it's one of our best routes to victory
I
in
think
this
we keep it
instance.
and just like play Delver
Yeah.
turn 1.
Yes, we do. This
Yikes.
is one of those hands that like is big yikes, but also like has the possibility of just getting us there as quickly
Oh
as
yeah,
possible.
like flip Delver off of Force of Will, brainstorm into like fetch land plus 1 mana like disruptive spell.
Yeah. And our opponent only saw Stoneblade cards game 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there's more likelihood that they got a little bit slower post board. We'll see. That's what my
Unfortunately,
hope
like
is.
a
Yeah.
little bit slower might be like 2 cards difference. Like Ant does
Correct.
not sideboard very many cards unless they're playing against a Chalice deck.
Yeah. So they did not shuffle. I don't think we're brainstorming, by the way,
I
because we
don't
don't
think
have
so
any.
either.
Yeah. Wasteland.
No.
Nice. So I think we attack with Delver, play the Wasteland, play the Stoneworth Mystic, and then we just have to present as many things as possible so that we cut their card down.
Yeah,
Their ability
I
cantrip
believe
down.
that we show strength here by playing another card.
Yeah.
And make them say like we have Force of Will, because otherwise it is just like crazy to tap out.
Agreed. Lilo Glyph. Yes. I mean, I think on Magic Online specifically, there's quite a bit of Storm. Because a lot of the people that are very, very good at the deck win a ton on Magic Online.
I also think that Ant is one of the best positioned decks in the format.
Oh,
Just more
I
generally.
100% agree. I think it sight unseen, if I was as skilled as I am with like Miracles, as I was with literally every deck in Legacy, if I wanted to win a GP, I'd probably play Ant.
All right, so we have a Pierce.
Yes.
But life's kind of awkward. So like I can't both Pierce and put in this Batterskull.
But you can do one or the other.
I can do one or the other.
So I think we attack with the 3/2, and then we have the option to do either one. And then we can reevaluate the following turn, because we're going to want to burn either the Pierce from our hand, or we'll have the same decision the following turn with an additional card drawn.
There's also a world where I'm supposed to get greedy and brainstorm. How many fetch land hits do we actually have?
10, 9.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There are 9.
So 8 hits, because we've already used 1. Yeah, I don't think I'm comfortable brainstorming here.
Yeah, I think I just want to attack and then, yeah. Ant only usually plays Island Swamp, as far as I'm aware. Sometimes a second island. It's not very common, though.
I think I have 2 islands, yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, so Chain of Vapor. Okay, they're forcing the issue here.
I think we let it happen.
I agree. It's just interesting. I'm trying to figure out what this means.
My guess is trying to tax our mana.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think
Extirpate?
on Flooded Strand.
Okay.
Don't know why Extirpate came in.
Likely because I think that we're on Stoneblade, and Fair Blue is a card that most... I don't know, I'm just conjecturing.
This seems like classic overboarding to me.
It's possible.
Like, even if we're on Stoneblade, I don't know that, like, being able to fight Snapcaster Mage is enough.
Oh, I agree with you.
So, like,
I remember from a couple years ago when Extirpate was, like, getting played by one person, so it was popular because that one person kept winning a ton. Martin Vonacek, 42 AD.
All right, all right. The number of times I have lost to like unplayable cards from 42 AD is approximately 42 times.
Have you ever seen him cast what is it? It's a world enchantment. It's the blue one?
Teferi's Realm?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was bugged on Magic Online when I was playing against him, so it just restarted the game over and over.
It's still bugged, but in different ways now.
Sure.
Now, uh, you sometimes can't make the choice that you want, and other times you can make the choice that you want.
Interesting. So we're gonna spell pierce this.
That's
It's
worth a pierce.
forced. Yeah.
Because otherwise they have triple black, and then they can go like duress me plus continue to go off.
Yeah. I don't think they're comfortable playing another mana source. Yeah. That's a fantastic draw.
Now we get to like brainstorm and shuffle away some of this crap. Most importantly, including our own Batter Skull.
Yes.
Neat. This is good.
It's fine.
Yeah, right. Like it's something.
It is a set of cards that we can conceivably
So
play.
I think we put back Batter Skull.
And the other wasteland, I think, and then we play the
I
Heath,
think the other
attack,
wasteland.
and then pass, right? We want to leave up Pierce and Containment Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Praetor's Grass, that's right. There was a screenshot of him on Twitter, having both a Jace the Mind Sculptor and a counterbalance in play on his side of the table.
Like
Taken
I've
from
lost to him like playing Caracas in Ant to bounce my Thalia.
Yeah, he's known for some crazy things, but my goodness, is he a fantastic player. I met him at Richmond this past year, and one of the nicest people I've ever met.
So what is his actual name?
His name is Martin Vonacek.
Okay.
Or Vonacek, excuse me. I mispronounced his last name.
All right. That probably means that an attempt at going off is going to be made if they're going to like play out that Underground Sea.
Yes. But opponent, can you beat a 2/2? Red mana. Okay.
Well, yep, that's happening.
Yeah. So this Pierce is not going to do anything, unfortunately. Okay. What is Storm count now?
5.
5, I see.
Well, I mean, yep.
Yeah.
This is probably just going to be... Alright, so Adnaz. I can pierce this and leave them with 2 floating.
But they have infinite rituals available to them. I don't think we can pierce it.
We might need to... So, like, we have essentially 2 choices. Choice 1 is, like, let them Adnaz, hope that they whiff, and then, like, flash in Containment Priest and try to, like, steal a kill if they, like, stop.
Yeah.
At, like, 4 life or something. And number 2 is, like, just try to pierce and hope that leaving them at 2 mana is safer than leaving them at 4.
I don't think that leaving them at 2 mana is safer than leaving them at 4, though.
It's a very marginal difference.
I think it's plan A. I think we try to Ambush Viper them into victory. Because they're actually at 5 less life than they think they are. Okay, those are not hits. That's a hit.
That's a very good hit. It means that future Infernal Tutors are good.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we're in awesome shape. So, like, now they are facing lethal if they can't go off. And, like, every card from here is risky. They also have no rituals currently.
Correct. Which is, like, kind of mind-blowing. All right, so they're going to cantrip their way into victory. Or they're going to attempt to, at least.
No, wasting Underground Sea is not good here.
Okay. You just let this resolve. These means they have to try to cantrip into it now, which they totally can. I think that's reasonable to do, but they're dead, so they have to figure out what they want to do at this point.
And it like might need to. It might involve at some point like doing a brainstorm and cracking LED in response.
Or a ponder, yeah. You like wasting UC here. Force them to commit to a color. Ooh, that's actually an excellent point, Max. Max makes the point that we may have wanted to wasteland their Ornagrancy and force them to commit a color either way.
I don't think that's relevant. Like whichever
But they
color
have
they
access
pick,
to
they
four
still have
mana.
like multiple petals here. So like if they pick this, like they choose blue and they like just use it to cantrip. So like
Yeah, blue. Yeah, they'll have enough to do. They have what one? So this is their second cantrip of the three of the four
yeah.
that they
So like
revealed.
a ponder and a brainstorm are gone.
Blue, blue. So if they would have chosen blue. We're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt there. That's the correct color to choose in the spot.
Yeah, even if they pick wrong, like they still have like double petal for like casting two more cantrips.
Max's point is not that it doesn't matter, but it's an actively good thing to be doing. And I think that he's right. We're not going to use the wasteland mana in response to ad nauseum. Oh, so it would misinform them on what they need to float that mana for? Sure. I can get behind that play. And we're not going to use the wasteland anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they would pick blue in that spot, but it doesn't matter. I think his point still stands that it's minimal, but it's with zero downside on our case. So we definitely should have. That's actually a fantastic point. I'm glad I brought that up. So they have a ton of hits here, but
So they have a ton of hits, but I think they took away some of their hits by not cracking the LED.
They have one brainstorm left though, so they can still. Okay, now if they don't crack their LED, they're dead, I think.
So they would have need to have gotten multiple hits off of
all of those
like brainstorm plus ponder. So,
yeah.
So like they would need something like a dark writ to like start off again, so that they can go and cast something like an infernal tutor.
Huh. Okay, so we have
dodged a bullet.
We have. All right, so end step. Let's not forget to ambush viper them.
That would be a travesty. Maybe they'll discard a Grizzlebrand, then cast Dark Ritual, Entomb Shallow Grave.
Yeah. No, that's only James Johnson that does that. JJ the Giant Slayer. I think I personally met every single Storm player at Magic Online, by the way. I'm fairly positive that I have.
They're good people. Very good players. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like obviously Moto is full of a lot of great grinders, but the Storm grinders in particular tend to stand out to me.
Agreed.
Yikes.
Yikes. Huh. They're mulliganing as well. Okay.
Ant does not mulligan well.
Oh boy. This is a mulligan as well. We have to be disciplined.
This is a great hand. I would love to scry land to the top or a Delver.
It is a hand. Whether it's great or not it remains to be seen. I'm going to bottom that, I think.
I think I top that. So, I think this is a hand where, like, we play Island Go, they cast a cantrip or a discard spell, and we aggressively spell pierce it.
Oh, sure. I didn't think about that.
So, like, after our opponent has mulliganed, I think we'd be super aggressive with the spell pierces. And so, like, the hope is that the second card down is a land, so that we can both like ponder and spell pierce.
Sure.
Like this is maybe a little bit greedy on my end, but I think like after we've mulliganed twice and they've mulliganed once, it's our best route to victory.
I can
So
get
like
behind that.
they'll duress, they'll probably take our snare.
Yeah.
And then like they think they can trade their first cantrip for this and then like be fine from there. So I think we're setting up a getcha moment.
Ooh, okay. This means they have another discard spell, actually. So I like your play. It makes sense to me.
Or if they just like cast an Infernal Tutor or something, like we trade the spells. Yeah. And like I'm
Yeah.
fine to just aggressively trading here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Both of our hands are in shambles. Who wins first? All right. Well,
Awesome.
we're gonna ponder. That's a Delver. It's not gonna flip
Yikes.
though. I think we have to keep it, unfortunately. And we can set up to flip the following turn and just hold up snare this turn. Actually, does that even matter? Mm,
This is tough.
it is.
I think if we take the Delver, I think we tap out for it this turn.
Agreed.
I don't think they can win on 4 cards.
I think we take the Delver and play it this turn. I think we put the Containment Priest below it, and we don't want the Jace at all.
All right.
I think the Priest at least has the potential to up our clock. And I think that's exactly what we want if our opponent has mulliganed and we denied them their first cantrip.
So like opponent will have 4 cards in hand after this brainstorm resolves, and in order to go off, the 4 cards have to be insane. You know, it would have to be like Dark Rit, Adnaz.
Yeah.
Or Dark Rit, Cabal Rit, Adnaz.
Stefano, you want to shuffle that ponder? It's possible that we maybe should have shuffled, but I just really want to clock and play. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Phil. I agree with you as far as the lines there instead. Oh, instead of Delver casting the ponder our turn and then shuffling? Sure, that's also a defensible option. The 1 damage probably won't matter. So we take the land and play it so we can flash in the Snapcaster, the Containment Priest. But that's still funny. I may have wanted to put the EE on top instead of the Jace in case they Goblin us this turn, which is another feasible thing they can do off of 4 cards.
Yeah, but they did not have empty in for game 2.
Well,
like we got to surgical them.
We did we surgical them game 2?
Or was it the other player that we surgicaled?
It was the other player.
Shoot. Yeah, then I agree with that.
But I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they're going to empty us on 4 cards.
Yeah, and I don't think they can empty through a spell snare as well. I mean, not that it's impossible. Like they can go like pedal empty or something like that.
Yeah. Now they're wondering what we kept on top but didn't flip with the Delver. Little do they know.
Surprise! It was your old friend Garbage all along. that is correct. This is Ambush Viper. That is all it is doing.
It is to put pressure on our opponent. I said it earlier, but I think it's important to attack combo from 4 different sides. Fast clock, hand disruption, permanent base disruption, and counter magic. So the more of those you have, the better you're insulated against combo as a baseline.
And this is just like so much better than tapping out for like True Name Nemesis specifically.
Yeah. Infernal Tutor.
I don't care what it is. I will. I think I have to just accept this.
I agree.
Like even if it's just like getting a Cabal ritual, that puts them like closer to just powering through what I have going on.
Agreed. So we have to fetch no matter what. Because we have, I think, a Jace and then an explosive on top of our library.
I think I get a Tundra as well.
Yeah, I agree. We don't have to worry about our mana development at all.
Our back to basics is in the board. Come on, Delver, buddy.
It did it.
It sure did. It sure did.
Sometimes that Daze card is a little embarrassing, but it's relevant interaction that our opponent has to worry about. So our position in this game is very tenuous at best, but I still think we're okay, especially with this many lands in play.
So
maybe not.
Like our opponent might have like 5 mana in play. They might be able to ignore the Daze, but like they don't have too many cards that just matter.
Play the Ambush Viper.
Surprise.
All right, and this resolves.
Yeah. So they've got 1 card left in hand. There's literally no card that they could have that I care about. Yep. They also don't have like the rituals in hand in graveyard where like something like a Past in Flames is just backbreaking.
So we attack and then just hold this Brainstorm.
Is that actually true?
If they fetch, wait, holding the Brainstorm?
Yeah, because like if I Brainstorm now, I could potentially like Brainstorm into Ponder into Fluster, or something like that.
I'm usually of the opinion to just hold Brainstorms until I get at least 1 additional card in hand, but this might be a spot. Yeah, okay, I'm done with that.
We because have a lot of hits. I kind of want something.
Yeah, something that isn't like a question mark, so we can plan a game plan around it the following turn.
And like I don't need much.
Yeah, you're right.
Because like these, like if our opponent uses these, it becomes lethal all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The GT does not matter because we have a 2-turn clock after this point regardless, so I think we just put those 2 back and play the fetch and pass.
Yeah, they let them know the coast is clear, but like whatever. Like
I think the coast has been clear for a while now.
Yeah.
We don't have a singular card that they have to worry about. It's either exactly counterspell. Okay. This is Dark Ritual empty. It can't be Past in Flames either because they don't have any rituals in the graveyard.
Yeah, they don't have rituals. Like they can add Nos from 5.
Yeah.
They say, here goes nothing. Yep, add Nos from 5.
All right.
I respect it.
I also respect it.
LED.
Lion's Eye Diamond. That's an excellent hit for sure. 4. Okay, those are really good hits so far.
Yep, so they would need like a pedal.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right, that's good.
They have a land drop to give as well, so they need another ritual plus a tutor to go do anything, unfortunately.
This might be the point to stop, and they go like...
Yeah, they have to
Underground Sea, LED, Brainstorm, crack LED, and...
Get black. Hope it's good enough.
Yeah, I don't know like what their like one other card was before it. If it's like a pedal, that would be awesome.
If they find it from here, it's awesome, but
it would be not impossible but hard to find from here because like these are bricks.
Yep.
So they have like
they need Lotus Petal
2 to 3 real cards.
Yeah, they need to have at least a Lotus Petal. And then 2 rituals. I don't think it's actually possible.
All right.
GG's opponent. We made no decisions that game.
we sweated that one. Ambush Viper, the real MVP.
It's come up twice now, in fact.
Yeah, they were close.
They were.
So like if there were some rituals in the graveyard from earlier in the game, they could have maybe made something work. But without a Lotus Petal, there's no way to even start it off.
Yeah.
All right, Min,
Impressive.
we got one more. We've already broken even and a little better for the league. Let's see if we can turn it into a good one.
Artillery Frost, no, because they needed to have an additional ritual in order to go do so. Yeah, we arguably stacked a brainstorming correctly earlier in that game, but not relevant yet. Okay, so Breka, who is also 3-1. All right.
Who has played Blue White Stoneblade recently?
This sounds fine. Is it fine? Does it beat anything? Are we on the play or the draw?
We're on the draw.
Okay.
I think
Then
we
I'm.
keep it, but this is not a good hand. But it becomes
It's not.
good with just about any draw.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
I think a land is fine because we like curve Jitte into True Name. I think a cantrip is actively good, and any early interaction like Swords to Plowshares or Spell Pierce is fine. So, like I don't think this hand is exciting in any capacity, but I think it becomes good quickly.
Agreed.
And
Flooded Strand Pass?
I think we lead on Delta Pass to just like
Sure.
look
It's the least amount of information, yeah.
slightly more like a combo deck. And like maybe make our opponent cantrip into something worse.
The Delver Ponder line, yeah, it's possible that I mean, we definitely, like I said, I don't think we made too many relevant decisions that game besides the Ambush Viper versus the Snare. I think was the only real decision that we made. Everything else was kind of made for us at the time. Excuse me. That's a
That
problem.
probably needs to get forced.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like I'm not overly excited to do so, but like our plan for winning this game is our own Jitte plus True Name.
Yeah.
And like if this has Jitte on it, like they might be able to like make it survive or just
Yeah.
like otherwise fight me when I don't want them to be able to fight me.
So here's
Pitch.
my question. Which do we pitch? And I think it's the Jace.
I think it's the Jace as well.
Yeah.
I think that card is just like a few too many turns away from mattering.
Yep. So I think we just slam the GT here.
Agreed.
I think it's planes.
I think it's planes too, but I was gonna think about it for a second for True Name reasons.
Yeah. The worst possible is gets dazed.
God,
But
that would have been brutal.
yeah. I mean, we could definitely just draw
All
a
right,
wasteland
so
and
they have
die.
a
That's
force.
fine. Okay.
Basic lands too strong.
They're very good in Legacy right now. That is for sure. Played Delver.
Yep. So
This
like
probably draws out that force, by the way.
I think so.
And I think we force back.
I also think so. Like our opponent doesn't have white mana currently, and they didn't
Yeah.
take any actions on their turn, which makes me think they have a bunch of white cards that they can't currently use. So I think I'm just gonna win this game if we connect with
Gets
Jitte.
untap with the GT, yeah.
So I'm very willing to aggressively throw this away on anything that answers to Delver.
They didn't attack.
Ooh.
Okay. Flip. No! Oh man. All right. Well, I think we still do the same play.
Yeah, I mean, we trade and we're left with a Jitte counter.
Yeah. Also, I think our opponent not forcing the Delver there when they had no removal spell was a little odd.
I bet they have a removal spell and not the mana.
Sorry, that's what I meant. I think they just become incentivized to like stifle the equip trigger one time. Okay, it's still unclear to us actually what version of Delver they're on, right? They could be on.
I think they're on blue-white if they have their own Jitte.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I missed that. I totally spaced they had GT in their deck. Yeah, they're definitely on blue white then.
I will also Force a Will of Brainstorm, by the way, if that is something that occurs.
We force that. Pitching our Snapcaster Mage. They're going to force back, pitching whatever blue card they have, probably, and we can untap plus Judgment. If we draw a white source, or play our own True Name if we draw a land at all. Well, rather, a blue source. They're definitely going to force back on this.
Yeah. There's a world where we're supposed to keep the Snapcaster just so we can have something we can flash in end of their turn and like try to get in with our own Jitte. But I think that's playing short-sighted.
Yeah. All right, so we ponder. We're looking for a white source. That is a white source.
There it is.
Okay, well, we play that.
And then we'll be shuffling away these other two.
Yeah, definitely. And then we're incentivize just getting the second basic planes, which is like the one time the second basic planes has actually been very like good for me at all in this Delver deck.
And I think I'm also just going to fetch it here. I don't think they're playing Stifle, but like if we're wrong, we lose the game.
Yes, no, 100% agreed. They're like, what is the second basic planes doing in your deck, you crazy person?
Well, normally I'm playing like 12 of them, so I'm used to it.
That's fair.
Although I did forget to switch the art on it, so we're living in that universe.
I don't mind these planes very much. All right, so we can play the island and then play the Judgment. Ooh, hang on a second.
I think we played the True Name.
I agree with you. I think my opponent
because it plays around Pierce.
Yeah. Or hard, and like if they have a hard cast force, they get us either way. They fetch here. Yep. Okay, so it's a hard cast force of will. And that means the following turn we get to do the Judgment thing. Yep. And thankfully, Trinium does not kill us super fast.
So we're effectively at 10 life right now because we have 2 floating Jitte counters.
Correct. All right, play the Judgment again. If this time, if they... I think we play Judgment now because if they have another force, we can pierce it.
I agree.
I would be astounded if I had a third Force of Will, though. Okay, great.
Awesome. So now the match is very much in our favor. Like we're down 1 card, but we have an awesome spell that combined with Jitte is going to take over the game.
Okay.
I wish we could play this True Name with
both up, yeah.
One of these up, but that's not the universe that we're living in.
It is not.
They also didn't have the force last turn, so it would had to have been their draw 4 turn.
Yep.
My read on their hand is that they have some awkward conditional cards like Swords to Plowshares and Spell Snare.
Silver Mystic,
that,
sure.
Like, does not particularly matter right now.
Yeah, none of those cards have text on them anymore. They have to have True Names of their own to have a chance in this game.
Like, they get the Batter Skull, which they can hard cast, but I can, like, pierce it.
Okay, so now we get to... I think we just equip and bash and then kill the Sunward Mystic.
With the Jitte counters, rather than the Swords to Plowshare.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. And we'll use both plans to equip.
Yep.
Morphling 401 says not quite as bad as playing Delver with Swords. I think playing Delver with Swords with Plowshares is totally reasonable if both cards win you the game. And in most cases, both of those cards do very good things in winning you the game. Okay, we're pretty well insulated against anything, I think.
So we got...
Unless...
Oh, yeah.
Spell Pierce.
Oh, yeah. And, like, they don't have a Spell Pierce of their own because they didn't leave their blue up.
Yeah. They probably have some number of plows in hand.
Oh, wow. And they just scoop it up there.
I don't think they can come back from that because even if they play the following turn, they still lose the race.
All right. So we're in the mirror. So I think I like True Name. I think I like Council's Judgment. probably like Fluster and Disenchant. These are cards that I'll think about, but maybe not end up playing.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your approach on this matchup?
So this is one of those matchups, though. Even on the draw, I don't really like boarding out Dazes in Delver decks, even on the draw. But I think this is one of those matchups where you do.
I agree with that. I think card quality is
Yeah,
more important than anything else here.
you board out a Snapcaster Mage instead of a Daze. There you go. I board out some number of Force of Wills.
I agree with that. I don't know that we can board out all of them because we're soft to an opposing True Name
Actually,
Nemesis.
I think we only board out one Force of Will, and we take out all the Spell Pierces.
So we board out Pierce, we trim a Force of Will.
Yeah, my reason being is that I think this deck is very well insulated compared to other Delver decks against the card Spell Pierce specifically. Like when I play Miracles against this deck, I don't really like Spell Pierce against the deck.
Yeah, like what do you want to Spell
general.
Pierce? And the answer is like I guess a Cantrip or a Swords.
It's almost always going to be either a cantrip, a plow, a counterbalance. I guess in the games in this deck, sorry, a cantrip, a plow, or a Jace or a Gideon, that sort of thing. And I don't really like any of those cards in the matchup. Like in the mirror matches, really matter that much.
All right. So
Yeah.
let's whack submit, see how this goes. And you don't think we're supposed to go like Gideon deep, right?
I don't think so. We might reevaluate on the play, but I don't know if Gideon does a whole lot if everything is about like sticky, like ridiculous threats.
I like this hand.
Yeah, sounds fine. Morphling 401. Also, the deck has won and come in top eights for a lot of challenges and things like that. I think this is fine.
I agree.
This resolves.
I think do I hold up Snare and Flusterstorm?
Yes. I understand you discounting classics, and that's reasonable for you to do. But my point is that it's top aided. SCG Syracuse which was the biggest paper open. I think we flustered this, by the way.
Well, I already let it go.
Well, it's because they set up the Delver and it buys us a turn because, as we are aware, this deck is very bad at flipping Delvers. But
So
they choose
the reason I didn't is actually because like they played out that Tundra ahead of time, and that caused me to like value the cantrip less because they're like forced to take everything that's there.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So they like have to use the. Oh, okay. So, how much do we want to trade? Not very, I don't think. This is a tough turn. So if we ponder this turn, our Delta can't fetch us a white source in case we want to use the mana.
I almost want to ponder before playing a land.
I think I agree with you.
If they daze me, I don't care. And if I find a white fetch...
Then you get a hand like this.
Yikes.
iPhone 747. I would play whatever deck you feel most comfortable with. That's my answer. This is a tough situation.
I think I take the ponder
and decide if you want to keep the planes or not, or the brainstorm rather.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the ponder is probably the card that we want the most. And then we can brainstorm into the white source if we want to.
But I think I'm going to end up shuffling these away.
Yeah.
All right, so they have a Pierce. That's fine.
That's fine. Morphling, my point is, I think both cards individually are powerful enough, with the downside of Plow being outweighed by the upside very heavily, which is to kill all the things. Snare, snare, snare,
Well,
snare,
I'll snare it, and then they'll pierce it.
which is fine, which we can. Huh.
And then am I willing to like force pitch Fluster to just keep that off the table?
I think so, yes. Yeah, you are. Because then you also get to untap and cast a Silver Mystic of your own. iPhone 747. I think the most well-positioned deck is probably Blue-White Delver, but that is not the same thing as what you should play, for what it's worth. In Morphling 401, like I completely understand your point. Like Delver is a natural synergistic with Daze. This deck is very, very anti-synergistic in comparison, but I think both of those things are very good things to be doing in Legacy right this second. So you can't really go wrong either way. I like Blue Eye Delver a lot as just a kind of a macro archetype, and I'm comfortable with there being Nambos on my deck by a lot. So we just Tundra Stoneforge, or I guess
I think we Tundra Stoneforge to play around Days, and then we ponder afterward.
Ponder. Agreed.
I'm not
And
sure. The pause during that counter spell war makes me think that they still have like a force of will, and they just weren't willing to fight. Batterskull or Jitte here?
uh, GTA.
Why?
Um, so this Batterskull is likely, or the Silver Mystic is likely not to survive, and GTA is the most powerful thing to have, I suppose. Actually, I'm fine with getting
I
Batterskull.
think I
Yeah,
want Batterskull because if the
yeah.
Stoneforge lives and my opponent just tries to take us off it by like wasting our Tundra and not
Then we
removing
have
the
another Tundra.
Stoneforge, like we get
Yeah,
the Batterskull, which is like the best thing that's going on the battlefield right now.
yeah, that's fine.
And if our opponent does answer the Stoneforge, we play another one, and then we get the Jitte the next time around anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. And GTA comes online in the same number of turns. I think it's one turn slower, but that doesn't matter that much.
This is insane.
This is really good. Holy smokes. Okay.
I think we
We want the
take
plow.
the plow first.
Yeah. And then the wasteland. I think that should name last.
I don't know. I think that's a hard decision, but I think it is
So
the wasteland second.
yeah, I think so too.
Because like
Um,
they only have one white source right now, and like wasting this takes them off of like both white and double blue, and I think that's huge.
well, they also have not missed a land drop yet, but I agree. I think I agree with you. But they may also be sandbagging their second white swords as a second Tundra. Because they don't necessarily need white mana, they just need another blue last turn.
In Lewin, yes, they would have dazed force, but I kind of thought they had a force. All right, so they have Snapcaster Cantrip. That's fine. So they're gonna go like Snapcaster, Ponder, then Wasteland our Tundra, and hope that's good enough. But that means that our Batterskull is hitting play, which is gas.
I have tested the one of. So when testing cards like that, you have to be really, really comfortable with what you're boarding them into because it's a one of. And then mulliganing correctly to not mulligan to the one of, if that makes sense at all. I don't know if it does. But the anyway, long story short, I don't really like it very much, but I understand what he's trying to do with it, and it makes sense to me. I'm not comfortable enough with it. I'm not played enough with it in my 75 or my post-board configurations to truly like be comfortable with having it in my deck.
And Duck Billy, thank you for the feedback. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. As a high level player, I am someone who has weaknesses in my own play. Like I have played almost no Delver, like at all, like period. But I have a lot of legacy experience. And on the other hand, like Min has been working on this deck in the past few weeks and has a lot of experience more generally with blue-white decks. So a lot of times, like we will talk over things from very different perspectives, and I think it like is really useful for everyone involved.
Agreed.
All right.
So Lila Goif makes the point of jamming now to play around click. And I kind of like that. It's kind of free for us to do. And if they have a disenchant or anything along those lines, anyway, we're playing into it no matter when that happens, whether on their end step or on like the main phase or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All about that. Let's do that. The way this
Like
card actually works.
Yeah, not a lot of decks actually play click in the mirror in not a lot of blue white stone blade delver-esque decks play click anymore. Like the
But
regular
it's like
ones
free
do.
to play around it. Like the Council's Judgment would have gotten us either way.
Yeah. So now we get to. So I don't think we're wastelanding them anymore. By the way, I think we are now playing True Name and then plowing Delver.
I agree.
I think we plow first and then we play the True Name to play around Spell Pierce.
Yes.
This plays into Daze, but that's the only card it plays into. And if they have a Force of Will, they have a Force of Will. All right, attack.
They have another Council's Judgment. Like I will take 2 more damage.
Yeah,
they earn it.
I'm really happy with the way we've piloted this game. By the way, even if we win or lose, I think we played it very well.
I think there were some there. I mean, more generally, there have been a lot of interesting decisions.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Oh, for sure. I'm looking forward to like rewatching this and like going back down the line of where we think we made mistakes, that sort of thing.
Our opponent has taken a different line on Gideon.
Sure. Okay. So, they have 2 in hand. iPhone 747. This Trinity Nemesis is on Magic Online only. It is from Treasure Chests, I believe. So we have 2 options here. One is to slam all of our threats. Hope our opponent doesn't draw a Wasteland. Actually, that doesn't actually matter. Never mind, because we could just play the GTA from hand if that happens.
So we can't really attack with a True Name anymore because it needs to like hold back the potential Gideon. But it just sucks because like then they will just keep pooping knights.
We can beat the pooping knights though.
Agreed. Especially if our Delver flips. Then we can just like take a turn off and like kill the Gideon.
Yeah.
So I think we have to jam both cards.
I agree. We get punished if they wasteland us and we don't find another land on top of our library, but I don't think we can play around that happening. And I think we definitely wasteland them. Take them off the double white. Actually, no, we don't wasteland them, do we?
We do not, because I think we want to like leave the potential of like play Jose and equip for our next turn.
I think you might attack the. I think you attack the Gideon though, right? We can chump block with one of our Stoneforges.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, it's dicey at best, but it's not nothing. And this way, it's kind of a forced play also.
Like we're kind of hoping that they have nothing because like a follow-up medium power level spell is probably enough to just like end this game.
Yeah. People are discussing the Trina Nemesis art in chat.
I don't care what the card looks like. I just care how it kills me all the time. No matter what art is there. Just does dirty things to little white creatures.
Patrick, I'm going to tell you right now that there is no chance that Gideon is better than Monastery Mentor in Miracles. Just bar none. Yeah. Unless you are literally Andrew Cuneo and you don't want to play Mentor and you want to play non-creature threats as threats.
I think Mentor is one of the primary reasons to play Miracles.
I think there are three primary reasons to play Miracles. Or sorry, technically four. Uh, Monastery Mentor, Terminus, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and Back to Basics.
That sounds accurate to me.
Like I don't think any of the other cards are actually like that good. I think you have to play all four of those cards.
I like Wilson's builds with 4 mentors.
Yeah, I've actually been testing his build quite a bit, but I swapped over to blue white in terms of tuning instead of blue white red, and I kind of dropped the four mentor thing because I just didn't know how to get that to work. Um, all right, so they chose not to shuffle, which means bad news for us.
Yep.
All right, we knew this was gonna happen. We're gonna chump block with the non-summoning 6 Stoneforge Mystic. Do we trade the Delver off?
Kind of think we trade the Delver off.
I agree with you.
Because we're just like so dead to any relevant spell that
Yes,
we kind of
agreed.
have to hope that like whatever they kept on top is actually of low quality.
Yeah, and I just want to like get rid of creatures on the board. I'm guessing they probably have a true name on top, is what the card they must have kept. Max says that we should set a draw step stop, and I think he might be right, though I'm trying to figure out why. Immoral Laurel, I think uh, there is zero chance of Back to Basics making it into Modern. I think a card that actively prevents playing of Magic is not at all what you want in Modern. Sure, mistake. Okay, great. Oh, to decide if you want to Wasteland or GT. Sure, that makes sense. Actually, that's a great point. Sort of Fire and Ice. Okay,
That's interesting.
it is. Um, so we definitely want to Wasteland them. Wait, we can't. Damn it.
So if I go activate Stoneforge, put in Jitte, equip Jitte, kill Gideon, then I can have 2 Jitte counters around to get rid of the Knight Ally token when our opponent tries to equip it with Sword of Fire and Ice.
Okay, yeah, I'm down. Because if you draw a land, you can Wasteland before GT. Yes, that makes sense.
So I don't need to actually do anything in my draw step because it's not going to matter.
No. Yeah.
And I do think
Yeah.
I have to tap this because like I need to play around what I can play around.
I'm very glad that we were able to attack the Gideon last turn for what it's worth. I think that's an extremely important thing that we did. So now if our opponent either hard casts or vials in the sword, we can kill whichever target. Untap and hopefully go to town with this Stoneforge Mystic. Jace the Mind Sculptor. That card does not actually matter on this board, so that's fine. I think I prefer them to playing Jace here rather than vialing in the Stoneforge Mystic, to be quite honest.
This is better for us.
Yeah.
Like the Jace is like scary and all, but it's like really only scary if they find another Council's Judgment or a Snapcaster Mage to take like one of these cards off the board.
Dan, I am indeed playing in Cincy. We just kill the
I think it's
token
fine to
here,
kill
right?
this because I'll kill Jace and then I can kill Stoneforge as well.
Yeah,
And just
that's
like
fine.
clear the board.
Yeah, I'm down. Dan, I am playing in Cincy, yes.
This is so like I think if they were going to Jace, they were supposed to Fate Seal. But I don't know the rest of their hand, so like I can't say that with true confidence or anything.
All right, so our plan is simple. We kill the Jace.
And I think I attack with the Stoneforge Mystic as well. Because if they block the Stoneforge, then I only need to use one counter to kill it.
Yeah,
and I can just
that's fine.
sneak 1 damage.
Yeah, that's fine. iPhone 747, I am not playing this deck at Instancy, and I'm not attending GP Niagara. So we wasteland them, play Delver. So they have to have another land because they didn't play a land last turn in order to
we'll
do
lose.
anything.
We're gonna lose to something stupid that shouldn't be in the deck, like Supreme Verdict. Like that's
Sure,
what's gonna beat us.
probably.
This pause is very good for us.
Yeah. If our opponent's playing the Tom Spiley list with a Verdict in the sideboard, I'm going to be very upset. But I don't think we can play around it no matter what, so.
Supreme Verdict is totally justifiable in Miracles.
It is. Morphling, I am not playing Delver in Cincy. Oh, I'm sorry. He's asking why play Delver. I just want as many threats as possible on the table in order to be wielding a GTA essentially.
Like we need to try to close this game because we can't answer a true name. And like this whole like keep the opposing true name in check with our own Jite thing only works for so long. Like that's something that can be overcome with the Sword of Fire and Ice that's in hand, for example.
Like the ways that we lose this game involve the Sword of Fire and Ice and a true name of their own, or is it a sticky threat of their own? And I just want as many bodies on the table. If our opponent has a Verdict, then they have a Verdict. That's something that we weren't going to beat regardless, I don't think. It's okay, Max. This is a very tight game.
Yeah. I mean, luckily from here, like the best thing our opponent can do this turn is probably just like play another Stoneforge Mystic or something, and we got that more than covered. Yeah. All right, little Delver buddy, can you flip for me?
It's gonna reveal a Jason
Flooded Strand.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I do not want to reveal that.
Our opponent might have a plow or something. Playing Sarah Avenger would be good here.
Do I even play this?
I think so.
I think I do.
Yeah, I think so. Our hand's kind of on the table, and it's kind of always been on the table at this point. Morphling 401. I'm playing Miracles at Cincy. That's fine.
That's life. I want that.
It is life. Okay. That's also fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. Our opponent has to brainstorm also. I'm curious as to why they're leaving. I guess the Wasteland is more generous than not. iPhone 747. I like Aiden's list. I'm playing something similar to it.
Playing. I guess they want to play it around the days. Like, they must think we have some bad card left in hand. It's like we've had one card floating for a number of turns.
Indeed. So Morphling 401. No, I am not playing red. You can actually look at our website, minmaxblog.com, and the newest article on there is why I'm not playing red. So kill the Jace. Yeah, I think we just kill the Jace. Have 2 more counters on GTA.
Yeah, I was just thinking for a second if I wanted to get queued by like moving the GTA around, but I don't think that I do.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's just a waste of mana. I think it's the best place for that to be. Yeah, I wrote kind of a longer thing as to why I consider I am dropping red for this event.
Wow, our opponent has conceded.
Wow, I'm really surprised.
Their hand must just be like mono garbage over there.
Yeah,
We'll
okay,
we'll take that. I
definitely.
think we were on the path to victory there anyway. Like we were very very far ahead.
Agreed. I think we were going to be able to outpass a true name the following turn plus a sword plus equip the turn after.
Yeah. Plus,
Um,
like any land for a council's judgment eliminates most of their outs.
correct.
All right. So, what thoughts do you have on the deck list after the league?
Really quick, I'm going to answer BMC Grail's comment real quick,
Please.
and he says, "I'm not even convinced that Miracles is the best UI control deck right now. Play Terminus and non-basic hate and UI Blade, and you may give me a better run rate. That's reasonable. I think Miracles as a deck is more leaning towards the concept of show and tell, in rather than full control, and that is you play like cheap interaction cantrips and then a suite of things that win the game on the spot. So like back to basics, counterbalance, monastery mentor, Jason White sculptor. And I think you need to lean heavily in that direction in order to get miracles to work, and then also play Terminus because Terminus is a one mana wrath and is very powerful. Playing Terminus in non-basic hate in Blue Eye Blade is a route you can take, but that gives you less cantrips to kind of control your polarized halves of your deck. And I think Miracles does a kind of a better balancing act than BMC Grail. Sorry, than Blue Eye Blade does, technically speaking, because I think Miracles is a better combo matchup than Blade decks do, even though Blade decks do kind of have the ability to play more combo hate post board. But I don't necessarily know which one is correct or incorrect, and my experience and understanding of Miracles leans me heavily to favoring Miracles as a deck in general.
I think the power of accumulated knowledge is also not to be underestimated, given the number of fair blue decks running around. To
It's funny
just
you say that because I'm probably not playing accumulated knowledge in Cincinnati. But that's not the point of today. I could probably do like an hour or two discussing the intricacies of Miracle's card choices, but let's not get too far down.
deal.
um,
All right. So just kind of like going back, what thoughts did you have like on the league or on the deck after sort of like playing in this?
so we went 4-1. We lost to Eldrazi Aggro, I believe,
Yes.
and then we managed to beat Mono Red Prison, Ad Nauseam Tendrils twice, and then the mirror match last, which is that's all weird to me, I guess, because I don't anticipate beating Storm twice, and I think it's fair to say that we didn't necessarily win as much as our opponents lost.
I agree with that. Like in our matches against Ant, Containment Priest as a 2/2 end of turn was a critical play in multiple games. We scraped by versus Ant.
We did. Um, I don't think there was a ton of decisions that I thought were very interesting or intricate for most of those matchups, except for maybe the mirror match at the end there.
I
I
mean,
think they were
most of our most interesting decisions were like, hey, what's the third card down for the Ponder supposed to be?
yes, yes, exactly. Whereas in the mirror match, I think we played very well. I think there were a couple of like cantrip resolutions that were a little dicey, but we identified the strong points of what our game plan was, and we were able to follow through with that game plan. And I think this deck does that pretty well. And the concept behind like compartmentalizing this game decision making is what I think separates a lot of like really like players that are on the cusp of breaking into like GP top eights on the regular or PTQ top eights and so on. Um, the concept of fully understanding exactly how to adjust your decision making process from turn to turn is at least for me it was one of the most difficult things to adjust to because primarily as in only Miracles pilot before I touched this deck and then Grixis Control for the Richmond season, a lot of my decisions were like trying to think of what cards I had left in my library that could do things in this spot and then cantripping towards them. Whereas this situation, you kind of have to deal with what you have at any given point, and generate game plans around those micro decisions. And I think that's way more interesting and way more dynamic and helps you become a better like solidified Magic player overall.
Yeah. So like one of the things I constantly say to people is like oh hey Phil, I wanna learn death and taxes. What should I do? And the first thing I tell them is like play other decks, and they're like, wait, no, I said I wanted to play death and taxes. Like, no,
Yeah.
play other decks, expand your knowledge of the format. You'll get better at decision making. You'll understand your opponents more. Um,
Yes.
and I think I said this earlier, but I think like the Phoenix deck in particular is a deck that like really rewards the ability to like find those micro decision points where you need to change roles.
Yes. And Ant also does the same thing, where it rewards like correct decision making within micro decisions. Um, Honestly, play a deck like that first, and then move on to something a little bit more worrying about what's in your library type of deck, like Miracles, or like in some cases Grixis Control, or and so on. Um, I think those would lead to building up a better skill set than what I did, which was play Delver, lose, play Storm, lose, play Miracles, accidentally win a bunch for a couple of years, and make people pretend that make people think you're actually like decent at the game. um, but that being said, I think the deck performed about as what I expected it to, in that a lot of draws were very polarized. Like we drew like the Delver, Pierce, like Daze part of the deck, and sometimes we drew like the. I know we were lamenting on not having drawn Stoneforge Mystic a lot of the time, but we definitely drew it when it mattered. Against like, well, maybe not Storm so much, but the mirror match for sure. It was huge there.
So my kind of impression is like after playing this league is that like this is maybe the weakest set of cards in the deck because I liked this stuff over here and I felt
Yeah.
like this stuff was very consistently good, but like the weird like 2-2-2 split that we have here kind of left us in this awkward position where I think we frequently drew these at times that were not opportune for us. So like we had an embarrassing late game days flip off a Delver, you know. I think we ended up shuffling away or pitching Jace to Force of Will every single time that we drew it. Like we never resolved the Jace, and nor were we really ever in a position where we could. Like just like thinking over that league, like against Eldrazi, we didn't really have
Yep.
time. Against Ant, it's not really safe to do so. You know, in the mirror, like yeah, maybe it's fine there if the board is already in check. Um,
Yes.
so like I don't know how much of this is like my preconceived notions of how I feel about this deck, like showing my bias in decision making, or if like, you know, maybe this is better being a lower to the ground blue white Delver deck, or maybe it's better being a bigger Stoneblade deck. But the deck performed fine. Like
Yes.
let me reiterate that, but I'm not sure that I'm 100% sold on this configuration as far as like the main deck goes, and I'm also not in love with the sideboard.
Well,
But
I agree.
I've already talked about how I want 8 bears. I've said my
Yeah.
piece.
Well, I think the only thing I actually agree with the majority of what you just said. I think you should. I think this specific 75 is configured to be like pretty much along the baseline as far as like how you can possibly ride being both a Delver deck and like a mid-range Jace deck. And I don't think it's particularly good at being either one of those things. Um, at all, and I would like to lean a little bit further one way or the other. That being said, Palace Jailer is a card in general, is something that Patrick mentioned earlier. Is something that probably should belong in a strategy like this over Jace the Mind Sculptor, or like in to help supplement, because you're not very good at protecting Jace the Mind Sculptor or using it proactively either. Because Jace is always gonna be tempo negative because you don't have anything like Terminus or like Deluge or so on to kind of, yes, exactly. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, to kind of be able to protect your Jaces, and you're playing a lot more proactively in general. So this list, I actually really like this list. I think it makes a lot of
So
sense to
do I.
me. Yeah.
All right, so like I just want to talk about some of the things that make this deck list awesome. So this is Daniel Gottschall's deck list, and I'm in love with it. The reason being is that I think this is a good game one deck, and I'm not always convinced that Blue White Delver is a good game one deck. Like there's just like a great solid plan here. You have a
Yep.
good amount of counter magic, like 3 Pierce, 2 Snare, 2 counter spells, 4 Forces. That feels good. You have a ton of removal. Like you have 2 Council Judgments, 4 Swords, and a Path to supplement. And like Jailer and Snapcaster sort of like also kind of count as removal as well. And you've got the
Yes.
full 4 stone or full 4 true names, which are great for like the Mirror and some of the other decks like Red Prison that are popular right now. And then I think the sideboard is very well built. Like you have Delvers to fight combo. You have Tormod's Crypt, which I think is an underrated card right now. It's much
Agreed.
harder for Ant to beat than something like Surgical Extraction, while it's still almost as good against something like Red Black Reanimator. And then you have a handful of flexible cards in the sideboard as well. And because of how the main deck is built, a lot of times you don't have that many cards that you need to like board out. So like
Yeah.
this deck might be looking to board out, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards against say a combo deck, and then you've got like 4 Delvers, 3 Crypts, 2 Flusterstorms, 7. Like I think the numbers work really really well here, and I
Just
like
a
this inversion of it.
just a quick correction. This deck was originally created by Omar Belden, but Daniel Gosho was the one who won the challenge with it.
Oh,
Just to
thank you
kind
for
of
that.
give credit where it's due.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Secondly, I 100% agree with you. I think this deck list actually makes a lot of sense to me cohesively, and being able to move between the two plans is actually done very well when it comes to sideboard slots and mapping things out. Like you can board out, and Morphling made the comment that you could board out your plows and then board in your delvers when the plows are bad and your removal's bad. Something that I wanted to do in Miracles at some point, and Peter White at Grand Prix Birmingham, so last or 2 years ago, I don't remember, did this, was to play Delver on the sideboard of Miracles. The reason I could never conceivably do so is that I would need a lot of slots for it, and it sometimes came in and was stayed in with the same matchups where Terminus was a plan, so like Eldrazi at the time. So I couldn't figure out a way to make my sideboard work correctly to have both of those things cohesively work out. But in this deck, you can kind of do both and pick and choose your battles because you don't have sweepers. You're stabilizing the board, and you can board in Delver and board out your snares, your pierces, your counter spells, your jaces, or your I guess the jailer, the snapcasters, or whatever your grinding elements are, and be like the Delver deck to punish Ancient Tomb draws, or you can be the Delver deck that punishes Storm. You could pick and choose what you want to do. My friend Rob Wilson lovingly coined this deck just or blue white switchblade, and I love that
Oh
name.
my gosh. That makes me want to like play this deck solely for the name.
It's a great name. Um,
The
the
only thing
only
I'm go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I think I'm about to say what you're about to say, but the only card I dislike in this 75 is the Gideon.
So the only thing I'm looking at here is I'm looking at some of the mana and I'm kind of unsure about it. So I think we're going towards the same thing. Like right, we have like these 3 wastelands, and then we also have like double blue cards like Counterspell
Yes.
and True Name Nemesis, and double white cards like Council's Judgment and Gideon. And
Yes.
I'm not really sure if like 3 wasteland is the right number. Like I can understand wanting them for like these post sideboard Delver draws, but I think they might be a touch awkward in game 1. I don't have the reps with this to know for sure, but
So the number of white spells are quite heavy compared to most other blue white strategies. But it does have an additional white source than most other blue white strategies in the Caracas. So that kind of helps offset that a little bit, but I agree with you. I think it's a little awkward, and I would like to like not worry about my white mana, or rather, I want to utilize my white mana to impact the board because it may not be available to me the following turn. So I like the judgments and I like the jailer because they impact the board. Gideon does not necessarily impact the board. Well, it does. It creates a 2/2,
I
but
mean
it
the
dies
the
still.
the draw to Gideon is that it's a non-pyroblastable threat, but you already
Yes.
have a good number of those in your like Stoneforge Mystics.
And you also heavily um over like you tax pyroblast effects very heavily in your deck because you have 4 true names. You can go up to 4 delvers, and you have like snapcaster mages as well, and a bunch of the one CMC counter magic. um I think like over taxing blast effects is actually a very underrated thing to be doing in Legacy. I think people should be doing it more.
And I also think that many people are very willing to throw Pyroblast around willy nilly.
Oh, absolutely. Have you
I
seen me play? Have you seen me play Miracles with Red? Oh my gosh, I blast brainstorms into Ponders all the time
so I
with
all
no rhyme or reason behind them either.
right. This is going to be a bad example, but I wonder if there is something similar that can be played in this Gideon slot. So bad example, something like Gisela, where it is sort of an annoying thing that attacks from a slightly different angle and gives you an edge. Like it's a bad example. I was just like trying to think of something else that's like white 4 or white 2. Um, but I wonder if there's something else of that nature that might end up being better.
I'm not sure.
And I
Patrick,
don't know without like spending some time thinking about it.
yeah, Patrick mentioned Mentor possibly, which I could maybe see. It's actually the third jailer. There's a first in the main deck. Um, I don't know. It's hard to say. I could also see it being a sideboard Jace, like for a similar but like not quite the same effect. It's unclear to me like how the sideboard mapping fully works, so that the Gideon might actually fit in exactly where it needs to, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sold on the Gideon. I'm not 100% sold on the number of wastelands, but like otherwise, I love the slots that I'm seeing here. You
Yeah.
know, for a lot of us legacy grinders, next weekend is a big tournament. We have the quarterly legacy challenge that probably has Mythic attached to its name somehow. Um, and I think a lot of people are somewhat unsure what they're going to be playing at this point, myself
Yep.
included, um, because I think there has been a lot of flux very quickly in the last couple of weeks.
The last 3 weeks, you could say that three different things like are happening, like trends one way or the other, and it's kind of crazy. And it's a great time to be playing Legacy, that's for sure.
Yeah, so like if you have your fingers to the pulse of the legacy format, I think this is like one of the most interesting times to be playing legacy that like I've ever been playing in, because like there is great week to week diversity, at least on Magic Online, and you can get these huge advantages by being like just a touch ahead of the curve right now, I think.
Yes. Yeah, 100% agreed.
All right. So I think this is a great way to do this. Min, do you have any sort of like closing thoughts here? And do you want to plug the blog one more time?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me as a guest. It's been awesome. Your stream has grown like so much over the past like 2 years, and it's awesome to see you having like so many followers and subs and so much support for the channel. So like kudos to you. You've been doing an awesome job with both your own Death and Taxes, like uh the Thraben University, as well as like just general legacy content. That's been fantastic to see.
It's gonna sound crazy to say this, but it's only been a year and 3 months that I've been streaming now,
That's
and like
insane.
the fact that the channel is this size already, I'm very proud of that.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh my goodness. Well, kudos to you. Very, very well done. And I'm like I said, I'm honored to be a guest and share some time in the limelight. Secondly, thank you all the viewers that are watching. And like Phil just mentioned, Max Torsion in chat and I have started a blog not too long ago. It's fairly recent. There's only like I think 10 or 12 content pieces on there, but we're sharing YouTube videos and articles and Twitch streams and so on about legacy. And soon we'll add like other stuff, so like life things about our lives. Like I'm a software developer and I'm really into like gaming and that sort of thing. But we've been sharing a lot of pieces about like legacy in general and a lot of different leagues and formats. Like you'll see me basically test this deck out with literally zero practice and then eventually like get really like better at it. I can't really say very good, obviously. I'm not very good at it, but um, so on. Does MinMax have a Twitch channel? We do not. I stream on /Minifer, and Max streams on /MaxTortion. Our streams are very infrequent. We mostly do YouTube, and we have MinMax blog as our YouTube channel. So minmaxblog.com is where you can find us.
And again, I said this earlier, but the content there is great. This is going to be one of those places to watch. If you're doing prep for the GP or another big event, there's going to be good content there.
Yeah. We'll do some more like roundup videos and stuff too, so stay tuned for that for sure. And then I'm going to be playing at Star City Games Cincinnati this upcoming weekend. So if anyone's there and and wants to come say hi, please do. I'd love to meet people.
All right. Well, Min, thank you. This has been an awesome night. It ended
Yeah.
up being a pretty long stream. We had a couple of very intricate games, and I'm very happy with this overall. For those of you who are kind of on the fence about what your thoughts on Blue White Delver were, I hope you come away with a better understanding of the deck. You know, I personally don't necessarily love the deck, but you have to respect its
Thank you.
flexibility and what it can do.
Yes, you have to respect the ability for it to be either very annoying with Trainer Nemesis or very annoying with Delver or very annoying with Jason Mind Sculptor. One of those things. Um, I think the deck looks horrible on paper, but its play patterns are fairly well placed in Legacy right now.
Yeah, I think the deck is better than it appears for sure, and that's largely due to metagame positioning, as we kind of like talked about earlier.
iPhone 747. I am happy to do something like that. That actually sounds like something I would love to do. I might do it in a couple weeks. We'll see. Thank you once again, Phil, for having me.
All right, so that's going to be the end of the stream tonight, folks. I will be back on Wednesday. I believe Wednesday is going to be some Black, White, Death, and Taxes. I have some ideas that I want to test out. That challenge is coming up. Let's see how good Pontiff really is. And if you enjoyed tonight, please follow. I'm doing content of all sorts of things, not just D&T all the time, and I somewhat frequently have guests like Min on here. And if you're really enjoying this, please consider doing something more to support my channel, whether that's subscribing or doing a donation deck list to get one of your sweet decks on stream. Good night, folks, and I'm going to turn you over to my friend Arkin, who will be streaming some Legacy.